Wait, why is she acting like Biden and Trump are on a similar playing field for like being the source of problems? What? Trump is way more responsible for things happening in this country than Biden is. Hello? I'm losing my, like, this fake, I hate, this is like that fence sitter nonsense or whatever, where it's like, oh my God, I have to somewhat come off as like critical of both. No. In some respects, one side is just massively worse than the other. We'll do this, I think.
To deal with two presidents who are above the age of 75. If you were in an escape room challenge, I don't think you'd pick either one of them to help you get out. I feel like we need to get more faces into the program.
The issue here, though, is if we were in the escape room, all of the young people would be sitting in the corner watching the old people trying to solve the puzzle and then judging them for it. The issue is young people just don't vote.
Welcome back to Middle Ground. My name's John. I host the Radical Empathy podcast. We know you requested this episode. You've seen the pro-Trump versus anti-Trump Republicans Middle Ground. I will moderate today's discussion between pro-Biden versus anti-Biden Democrats. Our first prompt is, Biden is a moral man. If you agree with this prompt, step forward.
Is a moral man? Yeah, I'd say so.
I think that the definition of moral is kind of, it's a little arbitrary because, like, you know, saying somebody is a moral man, we all have morals. My morals may not be the same as somebody else's morals, you know what I mean? I would say that I think Biden thinks of himself as a moral man. So.
Yeah, I was piggybacking off of that real quick. I was just going to say, I think, yeah, it's kind of an interesting question in this context, but I do sort of see an old politician in that sense where it's like, you know, he's at the ice cream shop and he's out walking his dog. Like, I think image of Biden, but I also think that's not necessarily like the most important thing when you have that much power. So, yeah.
I feel I'm sorry, do you want to? I was going to say, I think when we talk about morals, we should talk about intention. And I think that if you say he's a moral man, you're saying that he has good intentions with what he's doing. And I think that
I mean, I think almost everybody has good intentions. Intentions are to protect people, to like do what's right for as many people as possible. Most people have good intentions. I would say whether or not they're making good on actually thinking about whether or not those things that they're trying to put into place actually benefit as many people as possible, and whether or not the things that they actually want to put in place are justified. That's what I would refer to as moral. Somebody who takes a significant amount of time to deliberate what they are going to like kind of do and like manifest. Still don't know what's going on in this game.
Matters more importantly than what you might consider him doing that he says publicly
full
that
Giga Chad as always, yeah.
It's turning out poorly.
IRI,
I think
yes.
that when we talk about moral, if he's a moral guy, we should look at his intentions.
I don't think intentions matter quite as much as impact. I mean, people can have, like, look at Reaganomics. Reagan had the best intentions for Reaganomics, for his morals, but the impact of it was that it basically our country permanently.
Do you really believe he had the best
permanently
intentions when Reagan?
I believe he had the best.
Yeah, absolutely. He had the best intentions, I think. In many different ways. I think the dude. So like, if here's the thing, if I were to believe that everybody who pushed things that were not like super effective actually didn't have good intentions. Dude, what is this cancer on my screen? Then yeah, I would kind of understand this guy's point, but I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people have good intentions and just kind of get down.
I believe he thought he had the best
Let's
intentions.
focus on Biden for now.
Oh, well,
But that's my point. Is like when you ask these people, do you consider yourself a moral man?
Oh,
They'll say
man.
yes. And I think that they are. based off of what they were raised to believe.
People talk about Biden and the morality in the circle as a presentation of image, and I agree, everybody tries to present themselves as being a moral person, or at least conforming to what they think morality looks like. But I think that something that speaks highly of Biden's character is the Republicans tried to demonize him for leaked texts, and that wasn't part of a presentation of an image. And if you read those texts between him and his son, he honestly just seems like a loving father that's like trying his best, is encouraging his son to like get help. And I've never seen personally anything come from his wife or from his family or from people around him that seem to imply that he might be of bad moral character inside.
Yeah, again, I just think it depends on each individual person's definition of moral.
Let's bring in our disagreeer, just a second, Adam.
That's gonna be a way better thing.
first?
Go for it.
Okay, I would love to. From the
I
beginning,
was told that this woman in the green is insufferable. Is Destiny really 5'8"? I think so. I think he's about 5'8".
of time, he has had no morals. He was against the segregation of schools. He supports genocide. There's not a single person on this planet that has good morals that supports genocide of innocent children.
Wait, hold on. Okay, let's see what she's saying.
Genocide. There's not a
What did
single
she
he
say?
had no morals. He was against the segregation of schools. He supports genocide.
Against the
There's not a single
segregation of
person on this
schools?
planet that has good morals that supports genocide of innocent children. Innocent Palestinians have been murdered for over 9 months, and he continuously sends money to Israel every single day. Nobody with morals funds genocide. Period. Point blank discussion. Next topic.
I actually have an injection.
Oh,
right there, so I
Jesus
thought that would come up. I too.
Jesus Christ, that's so cringe, dude. I think I see why everybody was saying she's insufferable, bro. Dude, that's so cringe. Oh my God. Holy. Next topic. Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's everybody who supports Israel supports genocide. You're right. Yes, based. Correct. Queen. Yes, Queen.
Was hesitant to come. As you saw, I was the last person, and it was primarily for that issue. And I will never try to justify genocide because there is no justification. However, I will say morality. First of all, I don't know if I'm in a position to judge another person's on a spiritual level morality. However, outward facing and giving his platform and his position, I will say he does present, aside from that particular topic we'll address in a second, an outward facing image, and let's all address the elephant in the room in juxtaposition to the opposition, right? That being said, I will never, ever support someone who supports genocide. However, the reason I'm here on this side, we can just get into it now, and the reason I did step forward is because the reality is, Democrat or Republican, we've seen now with the voting from a majority of even Democrats to send weapons to Israel, that no one is really stepping up to galvanize to stop it. And this is a deeply rooted American problem. So if it would have been a foreign president, Democrat or Republican, if it would be his competition, the result would have been the same. And so to me, that's a major issue that also has to do with our Senate. And it has to do with the fact that we keep empowering
Still
these
having
people.
lag issues?
So
Yeah, it seems so.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not here because I will never justify that. But what I will say is when we take into consideration his policies as a whole, that's what I'm looking at. And the one policy that is unjustifiable is a deeply rooted American policy that we have continued to participate in since the dawn of time. And if we're going to stand on business, let's talk about the Congo, right?
Oh, I'm on all of that. I'm on all of that.
Wait, what are you talking? What? Since the dawn of time? Are you serious? Israel existed since the dawn of time? Are we still talking about Israel? Okay, sure, buddy.
Well, that's great, and me and you will probably have a great discussion about it because it seems like we're in alignment on that. But right now, I'm just saying, as far as morality, where is all of our morality? Because we're talking about Gaza, which is unacceptable, but so is what's happening in the Congo, but we're getting global for our
I agree.
So let's talk about all of our morality.
It's all
We
bad.
will dedicate a prompt to Gaza, just so you know, so we can.
I'm just saying, I'm against all of it, and the Congo's included. But I don't know how much money he's donating to what's going on in the Congo. I know for sure he's giving over $100 million every day to Israel.
I gotta look into this. I gotta look into this Congo shit because I don't believe any one of these.
Basis, it's really easy to go off of kind of how someone presents. But when
Yeah,
it
I gotta
comes to
find some
politics, I think
water,
it's kind
bro.
of
What's
different.
going on?
I think you have to go by inaction, rhetoric, or action in terms of a subject or a matter.
Bro, what's going on? Is this
how we brought up
oil?
This discussion, I know a prompt is coming later, but when Biden's rhetoric towards a two-state solution, what's happening in Gaza, what's going on over there, I think the inaction that's taken place, along with the rhetoric,
How do I
that combo
drink
makes me
this?
question his morality. It's a matter of when you go in with politicians, it's almost impossible to judge the intention of a politician because we have lobby groups, we have everything that kind of infiltrates American politics. But I think we can only go on how they vote and how they act towards it. So there are instances where you say that Biden's morality is kicking in, but then when you see instances where he's not acting, you think that there's immorality happening.
But that's also why I say that morality is like, it's really hard to judge. Like he presents, it's relative to each person, because if you ask a Zionist person what the moral
He'd be doing
stance
the moral
is,
thing currently.
he'd say that they'd say that he's doing the moral thing. If your morals align with a specific worldview, then yes, you will say that Biden is moral. And I'm not saying that like you guys are like automatically in support of Zionism or anything like that. But
Oh
I'm
no,
just
we
saying,
didn't
like,
take it like that at all.
Yeah, I just wanted to
that
make
you're
sure.
articulating
It would
the
be
whole
so
concept
Giga
behind
Chad to be like,
morality.
I am.
I think we have to be careful because we can do the moral relativism, but the reality is there is a shared morality that we agree should exist in the United States. So I think the question of yes, but it is there.
We don't currently have a shared morality when it's such a polarizing topic.
I would say we absolutely
from Stephen.
Yeah, we absolutely have some form of shared morality. It manifests in law. There are things that we believe that are criminally prosecutable in this country that all of us agree roughly should be illegal. And then there are things beyond that, like lying or I guess cheating on a partner, that we would say, well, these things are also immoral, but they're not illegal. But there is going to be some shared moral basis. Nobody would say that, a Nazi is running for president, but he's probably a moral guy because he's moral insofar as Nazis are concerned. I think when we talk about the morality of a candidate, we're generally appealing to our understanding of like a shared moral, roughly the shared moral foundation we would expect somebody to come into leadership positions in the United States.
I think with simplified issues, it's easy to say that we do have a lot of common ground. I do agree that a lot of us share the same morals that are like, whether left or right, we share the ideas that murdering is wrong, killing is wrong, any crimes against children is wrong, anything like that. I just think that once it gets to an issue where it is so hot button, so hot topic, the relativism plays a part in it when I'm looking at it from a perspective and then you're looking at a perspective and then I can find...
I haven't met a single respectable anti-Zionist yet. One day I might meet one. I don't think... I was going to say I don't think it's really possible, but it is possible to be respectable and have a stupid opinion. But I think that it's... I say stupid. I don't think the opinion is wise. I think it's short-sighted opinion. The Israeli people out to dry, and I think it's wrong. But, being said, I think that I think it's possible to have an anti-Zionist opinion and be a respectable person, and just like a bit mistaken.
Leaving that conversation extremely immoral, and then you can find me the same one.
True, but I think it's
Let's reset, and then we'll move on to the next promo.
Okay.
Hey, we've heard you've been enjoying the fact checks and our middle ground discussions, so how about we give you some more? We want to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact.
And I haven't seen any examples
Thanks again to Straight Arrow News for partnering with us on this episode. Now, let's get back into it.
Oh shit, I set myself on
Biden
fire.
Administration. Will the agreeers please step forward?
Hey, where can I edit the spells here? Is this not the holy... Oh.
Yeah, I don't see any reason not to trust the Biden administration. It's, can any of you guys think of like lies? Or I don't know, people bring up things like they misled us with Dr. Fauci or something weird, but I've been following the Biden administration pretty closely, and I haven't seen any examples of them trying to purposefully mislead us. May have gotten something wrong here or there, but that's why I trust the Biden administration. You got to trust somebody at some point.
I think with everything that's been passed from the IRA to the
Inflation Reduction Act, just investment in the... Oh. Yeah.
the America Rescue Plan to the infrastructure bill, like they have a purpose to pass big policies that are helping American people. The one thing I don't like is statements like Kamala Harris that go against the Biden when it comes to Israel and Gaza. I don't like the idea that at the UN we're saying that we're looking for a humanitarian pause, but then sometimes going back and forth on that. I trust them, but I just think that sometimes it feels like we have contradictory statements within the within the cabinet, and I think that's something that we should hold them accountable for. But other than that, it's like, yeah.
Obviously, this is an incredibly complicated issue, and it's one that has to be handled with a lot of political care. It's true even for Ukraine and Russia as well. And I think that the Biden administration has straddled the line pretty well on both of those issues, way better than I would have honestly expected them to.
I'm fucked.
Yeah, I think the Trump administration caused a lot of doubt in our institutions, and it's bled over to the Biden administration a bit. So I'll be curious to hear what these guys who don't trust the Biden administration have to say.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in our disagreeers.
Should I go back on that?
All right, Devin, raising your hand, go for it.
Okay. You shouldn't trust anybody in the government ever. Certain times they might have a policy that's good, but no matter what, if somebody offers them, hey, $2 billion, they'll take it. A Biden administration cannot
That's
be
$2
trusted.
billion?
Anybody that
Come on.
supports genocide cannot be trusted. Anybody that supports taking away, you think that he's for our rights, but he's really not. They're trying to ban regular cars. They're trying to ban regular planes by 2030. They're literally stripping away our rights.
Wait, they're trying to phase out combustion engines to be, what, does she disagree with lowering emissions? Why does she think they're trying to do that? Wait, why does she think they're trying to do that? Does she think that they're just trying to do that for their health? Or something? Like, what?
Just like the Republicans are trying to.
Yeah.
Do you trust any? What do you trust?
Devin, just to could we tease out what specific things, what specific criticisms do you have like that are unique to Biden as opposed to all?
Let's see. He speaks of COVID that was created. Fauci was part of that, like he was the AIDS scamdemic.
The AIDS scam. Wait, I'm sorry. What? The FBI says that COVID began after a lab incident in Wuhan, China, although there was no reason to believe it was created as a bioweapon. There's evidence that the gain-of-function research was being conducted. It's when scientists purposely make it more anticipate. Is this like the current understanding of the FBI? I didn't follow this shit.
Grandmother and several other people listened to him and took the vaccine and died. So yeah, I don't trust him after my grandmother, who's never been sick ever a day in her life, got a COVID vaccine and died.
I think if you're going to bring up the AIDS pandemic, then I'm going to bring up the...
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I would say that I will give Biden credit on the federal emergency against monkeypox.
Keep giving him credit.
Noise gate too high? Is it? Not bad. Turn that down.
Why the
Well, you just said...
people. That's all he's doing is the population, baby.
You just said that, you know...
No virus has ever been isolated ever in life. It's all been alive since...
Let's let him respond.
Yeah. Okay, right, but I'm just...
Can I go real quick? Just very simple, very quick. My thing is very, I don't really trust any administration entirely. I think that is a mistake. I think it's important to just be constantly using discretion, no matter if it's your people, if it's the other people. I think we like to, gallivant this idea of American exceptionalism and like, we're so cool and we do it. And it's like, Obama might have been a good speaker. He also vaporized 30,000 civilians. You know what I mean? So I don't really trust any particular
What is he talking about? This is an apparent reference to drone strikes during the Obama administration. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, expanded strikes 42 civilians. Former president said he tried to ensure there was a near certainty civilians would not be injured. Where's the 30? He said 30,000, right?
He also vaporized 30,000 civilians. You know what I mean? So I don't really trust any particular administration. I know that's a little bit more general of an answer, but yeah, I don't trust a lot of them.
Personally, I don't trust them to protect us from what happens if Biden
Dude,
loses.
what?
So I'm not pro-Biden specifically because I don't see enough being done to protect us if Republicans win. Like there's projects.
What? Wait, what is he supposed to do if he doesn't have any power because he didn't win the election to protect? Is she trying to say that he needs to like prevent a Donald Trump presidency somehow? Like, isn't he talking about possibly doing shit with the Supreme Court or whatever to make like term limits or something? Isn't there a rumor that he might do that? Is that what she means? Like putting up different, like trying to do certain safeguards to be able to prevent shit like, oh Jesus Christ.
2025 that they're planning. They have all these plans, and I don't see them talking enough about, okay, well, they have these plans, so worst case scenario, here's what we have planned to stop that if it happens. I personally I'm a person who likes to have fail-safes. Like, I don't see that happening. I didn't see that with the Supreme Court failing to codify Roe versus Wade for how many years? How many years? Why was that not?
I don't understand. Is the Supreme Court codifying Roe v. Wade?
Sorry, Congress.
You mean Congress?
Yes.
Well, they didn't have the votes. Take 60 votes in the Senate unless you have to get rid of the filibuster.
But I
love it. IRI just like didn't have the votes. Not possible. Next question.
I'm saying though, like we had all of the time. We had so many times where we were in power as Democrats.
We don't have 60 votes in the Senate. We can't pass a bill.
Oh my God, he's such a Jad, dude. He's like, calm, cool. We didn't have the votes. You're saying something that's not true. He's literally like shitting on this chick. She's like trying to go off. She's trying to be like, bro, they made such a stupid mistake for not doing this. Man, it was like, we need to hold them accountable. And he's just like, oh, we just didn't have the votes. Nope. Nope.
What? No, I mean, why don't we have the 60 votes? Why are we not working harder?
People are not voting for Democrats.
Why are we not working harder to reach out to those communities?
It's Biden's fault. What is this? Bro, you got caught. Let's not distract because she's now like moving the goalpost, okay? That just happened in real time, just to be clear. Biden should have codified Roe versus Wade. Well, we didn't have the votes. Well, why don't we have the vote? Well, hold on. Just made a claim that Biden was falling short of his responsibilities because he didn't codify Roe versus Wade. Didn't have the votes. Tough luck. Okay? He couldn't. So it shows that you didn't understand how that worked. Don't worry. A lot of people didn't understand how it works. The only issue is a lot of people also didn't make that stupid claim.
Why are we not listening to the communities as to why?
Because we're sitting here saying Biden supports genocide.
So as a disagreeer, I just want to give my objection as why I disagree, take that opportunity. So I do agree with a lot of what you said, John. Some of what you said also, Rebecca. I do believe that we have to have discernment. And as citizens, we have to really start to engage in our civic duty of like holding people accountable.
Wait, what is this? This link? Israel took Jerusalem in the 60s because of the fact they felt entitled to the Holy Land and then even established Greater Israel as a plan to expand the border for the land. I don't know shit about that, to be honest. Bro, why is my internet so choppy and shit right now? I'm gonna keep watching the video.
And not only holding people accountable,
Yo,
but
what's
also
up, Thomas?
running for these offices, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not a monolith. We have very different views. You know, we're huge. We need to have more people participating in this process. And I don't ever want to get too comfortable and too complacent. That doesn't mean I inherently distrust them, but I don't necessarily trust anybody blanketed, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, I think when it inhibits you from voting or being active, then you're just not participating, and that to me is also unacceptable.
Yeah.
But I do think that there has to be some discernment, and I chimed in at this point, one, because I'm a disagreeer and I wanted to give my input, take that opportunity, but two, when it comes to not voting, as you guys said, that is why I did not come and sit down and say that I trust the Biden administration, because I think that we have this exceptionalism in this. And we're waking up because of the things that's happened in the last 5 years to, we're gonna get somebody in office and they're gonna take care of us and they're gonna resolve everything. And at the end of the day,
damn,
I
that
don't
was a
care
really good throw.
what you believe, whether you're pro, I don't even care if you're a Trump supporter. We have to get out of that mentality and we have to be active.
Yeah. The people like screaming, "Please save us, President Trump!"
Yeah. Right?
Like we're no better or worse if we think that a Democrat is going to come in and rescue us from 100%. All of that.
Nope. That's fucking stupid. That's a stupid thing to say because, as a matter of fact, Democrats have pretty routinely helped in many ways put several different marginalized communities in a position where they are massively better off. So this idea that like, oh no, not gonna save, yeah, they're not gonna fly in on some fucking unicorn and save everybody perfectly or whatever, but they're gonna make people's quality of life dramatically better. Let me give you an example. Biden has relieved isn't it over $1 billion of fucking, hold on, let me look this up. I'm pretty sure Biden has Biden student debt relief total? I don't know how to spell relief. I think it's like over $1 billion in student loan debt Biden has relieved. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 170 billion. I'm sorry. It wasn't $1 billion. It was 170. My bad. My bad. It wasn't one. It was just 170 times as much as I said. Okay? My bad. Okay? Like, here's the facts. Okay? Here's the facts. These things dramatically improve people's quality of life, so much so that it can transform people's lives. We're talking about people looking at home ownership, right? Or starting a family, starting their life, really buckling down on their career, maybe moving across the country to be able to look for jobs that they previously weren't even able to think was a possibility due to student loan debt. This is before we talk about the infrastructure bill. This is before we talk about any of this. We're just talking about Biden's student loan forgiveness. That's what we're talking about right now, right? This is this is loan forgiveness in general, but you understand what I'm talking about. Student loans was also a part of it. Wait, is this student loans only? I don't know if this student loans are loan in general, but anyway, let's see. The administration now approved a total of nearly 170 billion in relief for nearly 4.8 million borrowers. Is this let's see, what is PSLF? Is this total loans or is this public service loan forgiveness? Oh, this is for public service workers, targeted, which is based, but the idea that people's lives are not like irreparably not even like that's irreparably isn't even the word I'm looking for. Dramatically and distinctly transformed by things like Biden's student loan forgiveness, Biden's focus on infrastructure reform and shit like that, being able to get people from point A to point B effectively, public transportation and shit like that, initiatives in regards to climate control or climate change, weirdly enough, that one of the people on this panel kind of shit on, is ridiculous. For just like a personal example, one of the biggest issues that was actually massive, absolutely massive, was free student lunches. Something that's in total upheaval in regards to Republican like talking points. They for some reason hate giving children food. I don't know why, but yeah, I guess if your parents are broke, starve, brokey. It just is the type of policy that they want. But free student lunches was a dramatic thing for me. I used to not go to school. It's not something that I did. I just had a lot of issues going to school, but damn it, every day I would go to get lunch. They knew that I probably shouldn't be eating lunch, but those people just wanted me to eat. Okay? They knew that, like, hey, look, you probably shouldn't be getting food. You like dropped out of high school pretty much. Right? Because what I would do is I would go for the first half of each year. So my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, I went for the first half of the year, and then I stopped going for the back half. But I would come every day for free food. Every day I would come for free food. And they were just like, here, we'll give it to you. And I would eat. That was a big deal to me, was making sure that shit was there. It was a very big deal that I was able to get food reliably, go there, socialize with my friends, and then go home. It was a very big deal. And for people to just be like, hey, Biden hasn't done anything dramatic for any of these people, it's ridiculous, right? Because Biden has done things to be able to hold up things like free school lunches, right? Things like student loan forgiveness, that honestly radically transform people's lives. If free student lunches are such a big deal to people's lives like it was to me, all right, then if you really think relieving, what is the average debt, student loan debt? Isn't it like 30 grand? Average student loan debt. Isn't it like 30 grand, 30 or 35,000? It's $37,000. If you think relieving $37,000 of student loan doesn't radically transform somebody's life, I have a bridge to sell you. Okay? Like, I have a lot of high interest loans to be able to sell you. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't know where this narrative is coming from, but it has to be coming from a place of ignorance. Anyway, I like the buzzcut white guy, and that's not biased because I'm a buzzcut white guy year to date. That doesn't really help marginalized community as much as you'd think. Luckily, more minority groups are attending college, but it's predominantly affects white people. If you're referring to the student loan forgiveness, yeah, absolutely. I've given criticism for student loan forgiveness because of several factors. One, people with college degrees who are predominantly the of student loans, especially the predominant holders of student loans are going to be people with higher end degrees, right? Like the PhD master's degree people. These people just really don't need much financial aid because on average they're making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. All right, these people are sitting pretty comfortably with their wages on median. They're sitting pretty comfortable in their wages. So I have given criticism to student loan forgiveness. I think money can be better spent elsewhere. But it's a start. It's a start, man. And it also encourages people to be able to, like educated people, to stay inside of the States or to come to the United States, which I think is fantastic because I would hope that every single smart person alive comes over to the U.S. I love that. I love that shit. But yeah.
I think the biggest...
It needs to be more targeted. Well, in Biden's plan, he targeted specifically public service workers. So while there were people with student debt forgiveness, a fair deal of them were public service workers. Like, there was specific targeting, as we read in that documentation. He specifically targeted public service workers. So not these, like, hedge fund or, like, pharmaceutical, like, lab techs and shit making, like, 300 grand. No, it's going to be, like, maybe some dude who has a bachelor's degree who's working with, like, an environmental science board for the state or something like that. Or maybe some mechanic or technician who's working with the public transportation system, right? These are going to be the people who are targeted with student loan forgiveness. I think that's a fair group to target because, one, public service is based, and we should give significant encouragement to anybody who wants to work in public service and give our respect as they help, us be able to live a really comfortable life and shit like that. But beyond it, these are going to be people who are not making your millions and billions or whatever of dollars. All right, they're not going to be pulling six figures. Probably they're probably going to be people who actually have a desire to better their community, potentially at the expense of how much money they bring in at the end of the day. And I mean, I think that should be encouraged. I think people who have a desire for public service should be encouraged, and that would include, hopefully, reduction of their student loans. How'd you get to the next grade if you missed half a year? It was kind of weird, but I would miss half a year, but I took certain classes and I got certain credits, and it was enough to be able to put me in a position where I could go to a separate thing. It was like online schooling, but it was at a facility. It was weird. We went to a place to use computers for schooling. It was weird. But I used those, and then I got my actual diploma from there. I got a diploma from there. So I have the same diploma as if I went to the high school the entire way through. I got the diploma, but I definitely did not go all the way through.
Is just culture war, as far as I'm concerned. I think the
Oh, hey, I work in the public sector and have a bachelor's degree. I would like some student debt relief. Unironically, if you have student debt, wait, do you live in America? If you do, and you live or you work in the public sector, you might actually be able to look up online how to qualify for it. I don't know how to qualify for it or like how to apply for it, but you might be able to do it, unironically. I would genuinely look that up.
The transfiguration of this political process and you know, conversation about it, which of course I'm sure even in the 1980s was heated at the dinner table, right? It has turned everybody into like, I'm on this side, I'm on this team. And I just think that is fundamentally like antithetical to like critical thinking, to thinking for yourself, and to working together to build a better country.
I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this because critical thinking can bring you to a conclusion that one side of a group or a decision-making process or an electorate is just dog shit compared to the other. And that's the one we exist in. It is so incredibly clear. One is actively attempting to coup the government and has attempted to coup the government and is proposing damn near draconian medieval tier, referred to, it's like a king, like draconian laws in regards to the executive branch having practically unilateral authority over a tremendous amount of aspects of the government and the average citizen's day-to-day life. And the other one is just straight up not doing that. And me, as somebody who is a lover of democracy, that's enough. Straight up, Joe Biden could have literally no political policies or platform at all. He could not be doing the student loan program. He could not be doing 80% of the things that he is doing. The fact of the matter is he is not actively trying to do things to undermine democracy, which is enough. Straight up. When there is one leading person, it is pretty much a 1v1. And one of them wants to be a dictator like King and is actively taking steps to be able to do so, and the other one isn't. I don't even need to hear all of the other policies, which are great, and we talked about some of the policies, and those policies are great. I don't even need them. They're great, but I don't need them. All I need is for him to not try and undermine my democracy, undermine my country, because I love this country. In my opinion, it's the best country on earth. I love America. But, you know, don't fuck with my democracy. Otherwise, I'm gonna not vote for you, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure everybody knows that they are voting for some delusional guy who wants to become a king. If they do, that's what it is. L take, yeah, L take.
I think you have to be really careful when people talk about trusting or distrusting the government. I think a healthy level of skepticism is important for everything. But when people say things like, I don't trust anybody that works at the FBI, I don't trust anybody that works in this administration, I don't trust anybody that works at the FDA, there are like millions of people, depending on how local or federal you want to get with the government, that are employed by the government. Most people are just trying to do what they think is right.
For sure.
Most people that are employed by the government trying to do what they think is right. This idea that all of them are like kind of like colluding against the American public to harm you in some way. Not that I don't think anybody's expressed that view exactly, but I know.
JK, I don't know shit about politics. I mean, it is what it is. I'll try and do my best to explain it if you want to chill and listen to me, my schizo ramblings, but. And if you have any disagreements, or if anybody has any disagreements with anything that I'm saying or commentary, you're welcome to join the Discord and have a conversation with me.
There seems to be some undercurrent where people will like distrust anybody that says that they work for government. Like most people are ordinary citizens.
No, for sure, and I have family in politics too, so I would agree with you. But it's just the sense that I guess a better way I would answer this question is I don't implicitly trust them just because like they're Biden's administration.
You said you have
And I just
family in
don't pass
politics.
My grandmother, I want to share, my grandmother was the first black NAACP president in her era in New Jersey. She's worked with a lot of different presidents. She got to meet Obama. She took a lot of pride in seeing Obama elected. And I've followed her because like I said, she was one of the first black NAACP presidents. I study history. I study her beginnings. I still study where she started. And I've seen what the Democrat Party has come from then to now, and I don't like it. I've always been
Wait,
pro-dem.
what? What did Obama do that was so much better than Biden? Listen, I'm not crazy, am I? If you go band for band, Obama administration versus Biden administration, I think Biden clears. I think Biden clears the fuck out of that. Trying to expand medical coverage. I mean, Obamacare had its flaws or whatever, but it gave a lot of people, access to medical coverage that they didn't have access to, and for some of the most vulnerable people in our society. But Biden made, revisions and expansions, and he also, gave, like we were talking about, the student debt relief, the infrastructure bill, the climate change reform, like many of these different things. Like, bro, I think Biden clears. I think he's taking a far less aggressive approach in several different ways on foreign affairs too.
Trusted her.
I trust her because she just wanted equality. She fought and worked with different presidents so blacks can get jobs, so they can have the same opportunities. And she had a doctorate. She would talk her shit, but she had morals that she wanted.
Do you have a doctorate? It literally sounds like this woman is trying to use her mother's clout to be able to give herself more validity. Listen, I don't care what your mom did. You're on this panel. Unless you want to get your mom on this panel right now or something, I do not care. Why is this guy like a boss, bro? I'm dead, man. I'm dead. I guess I'll have to just enter the Holy Mountain. Wait, how do I edit my thing in the Holy Mountain? How do I edit it? What the fuck is this? Summon Holy Egg? Small teleport bowl, all-seeing eye? What is this? Oh, I actually just purchased it. I can't see what it is. You, have you read the comments about the green dress lady? So funny. I have not. I'll probably read them after. Needs to be more targeted. I think the student loan forgiveness needs to be a bit more targeted and that there be a cap on how high the loans can get to. I feel like the student loans shouldn't be able to get, double the amount loaned. I'm sorry, what are you referring to, Thomas? I'm lost. I'm pretty sure Biden straight up had more effective presidency than Obama, I think. Yeah, but I mean, I might be wrong, but I think... Nah, actually, I'm actually not going to say that. I actually totally don't know. I was going to say, I think that Biden had... Obama had a more contested, House and Senate, but I actually totally don't know. I totally don't know. I might be making that shit up. My response back to her would be, yeah, and Jordan Peterson has a doctorate too. Doesn't mean you can't get brain damage. That's a good point. Destiny's probably hella holding back on your mom joke so hard. You know he's dying to say it.
Equality for everybody. She wasn't taking money like, oh, somebody's big pharma, whoever's giving me this money, I'm gonna support this, or support genocide, or support this. She had in her heart that she wanted equality.
It would be so funny if you looked up this chick's mom and she was actually corrupt. That'd actually be hilarious.
And that's what she stood for everybody. Primarily people of color, but for everybody. She wanted everybody to have the same rights. And I've seen the administration just go down, the more we trust them.
Can I ask you, what keeps you a Democrat?
Like I said, I'm starting to lean to the independent side. Okay. I like the original views of, not the original, because you know the Democrats and Republicans switched at some point. Yeah. But when they spoke of being pro-freedom, being pro-rights, and actually seemed like they meant it, I grew up studying history because of her place in politics and seeing how the administration
understand.
has
How
went
does this work?
from 60s, 70s to now. My grandmother, I have a picture of her and Coretta Scott King. She was really, really a part of the movement. And to see what the Democrat Party has become, I want to stay a Democrat because of her work and continue her legacy, but I just don't like what it's become. I hope that I could be a change, hopefully carry her legacy on in some way eventually.
You pull
but
it
it has
out.
to be a collective effort. It can't just be me.
I think that one of the biggest issues I have with trusting any administration is that there are people, because I work in the nonprofit spaces, so I do work with some local politicians and a lot of people who are just in nonprofit in general. The people who are really trying their hardest to make it better quit so quickly because the system is so fucked. So that the people who are more corrupt, they just continue to grow and accumulate power, and but that's a broken system that makes me not able to trust the administration.
Does that challenge what Steven's saying, where it's like this, everybody who works, or most people who work in government are trying to do what they think is
No,
right?
I do agree with him, but most of the people who are still trying to hold on to those morals, they quit very quickly. There's a high turnover rate. I think that most people who are working in government are not people whose names that you would ever know. You know what I mean? And they're not going to rise through the ranks and achieve the power that's going to fix everything.
25
because the
damage?
system is so fucking broken that it beats them down. I've seen it happen to so many people, so many good people who really have those good moral values who are like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the system from inside, and they're just so broken down by the end of it.
You asked me earlier, why do people not vote for Democrats? Why do you think they don't vote for Democrats?
I think that people feel forgotten,
interesting system.
and I don't think that they feel protected by the Democratic Party. I know a lot of the people of color that I've talked to feel as though they are spoken over by white Democrats, and that kind of alienates them from a lot of the Democratic Party, because a lot of the Democratic Party, even though we are more diverse than the Republican Party tends to be, they still feel spoken over and they don't feel represented. And so it's like constantly choosing between like one Republican and a Republican wearing blue. That's what I've heard.
Do you think they noticed the results, record low black unemployment, record black entrepreneurship under Biden?
I think that they noticed some of those results, but when it's not helping them with their personal,
Record low black unemployment, record high black entrepreneurship isn't helping the black community. What is this? Okay, it's not helping you personally, selfish. Don't care. Bro, I have such little patience for this. I don't, I probably could suck it up if I was standing in front of somebody like this, but I mean, the facts are that I just really have such little patience for this kind of nonsense. I really don't. Downward bolt bundle. What is this? Makes a projectile separate into a bundle of 5 explosive bolts as soon as it moves, comes downward. Shuffle spells, yes. Cast delay is short? Very short. Recharge time is long. I have to do it. Max mana is high as shit. Mana charge speed, my bad.
Communities, it's very hard.
He's 44?
For them to
IRI.
say, Biden helped me when they're still
jobs, not Biden.
Especially if they're not super tuned into politics.
Exactly.
A lot of these numbers, because we're looking for them, we know that there's a historical unemployment rate for Black Americans now under Biden. And we have one of the lowest unemployments that we've had, I think it's ever, yeah. And so I think a lot of people aren't tuned into the statistics of it. I think they go based on perception. I think this is just human nature.
Don't you think they see that though?
I don't think on a day-to-day that people can really quantify it when they just have a run-of-the-mill job or anything.
I don't want to take away from the fact that the Biden administration has contributed to that, because they absolutely have by many of social justice initiatives, and this will be very brief. But I also want to say, as a result, as the Black community always has, and their resilience, they saw what happened with our last administration, and they picked themselves up by the bootstraps, because inherently we are entrepreneurs. It was illegal for us to learn how to read, and a lot of
Wait, what is this? I don't understand. Is she trying to say what? I don't. Oh, that was the student loan forgiveness earlier. Like, student loans can get over 2x the amount. There needs to be a cap on that amount of interest that can be applied onto it. Oh, I see. I kind of agree with you, Thomas. I do.
people don't realize, before the Slaughter Acts, we actually had former slaves that were in offices, legal offices.
Yes.
And
well,
then
actually, I'm not sure I agree with you, because if that was put into place, I mean, your student loans really shouldn't get that high. Like, if that's happening, there's some serious issues going on. Like, there's no way it should be that high. I'm fucked, bro. I'm fucked. I'm tossed. I'm tossed. It's bleeding. If it bleeds, it dies. If it bleeds, it dies, boys. Hold on. Come back here, you little bitch. Okay, I'll let it get away because I'm dying right now. Alright.
You know, and that has a lot to do with when the party switching started happening in different acts. So
I forgot what I was saying.
Much as we have always done, we saw what was happening and we decided we got to come together, we have to galvanize, and we've done that like never before. Not to discredit the Biden administration and say they haven't contributed, but black people have done that for themselves as a result.
But that's also...
Wait, that is discrediting the Biden administration. What? You're literally saying black people have done that for themselves, but also Biden did that. Like, what does that mean? Like, yes, they have gone out and gotten the job, but it was helped by the Biden administration. I don't understand where this idea is that these things are like mutually. I don't know. It's weird. You were saying how hyped you were for a new PoE league? Oh yes, of course I was. Totally. But yeah, I am, unironically. The new PoE league looks crazy. It looks like they're like maybe one of their biggest leagues yet. Oh, am I just stuck? Okay, I was. Is this a counter wizard? Oh, he died pretty quick. It's a beholder. And I died.
Another thing that I've heard, particularly women of color, say like that turns them away from the Biden administration is that like not only do they not feel represented, but they're so fucking sick of everybody coming in and like expecting black women to fix it. Like that's just what I've heard.
We can apply that to a lot of things. I think that there's some things that you've said that I agree with, and there's some things that this gentleman says that I agree with, and I still can't take a seat because I'm very like facts-based, and the thing is, even though what I said I stand on,
what does that even mean?
I still can't dispute the fact that it is at an all-time high under the Biden administration. I just wanted to provide more context, but the things that both of you have said, I've actually agreed with to an extent.
What is the context that she provided? Because she keeps saying, I don't want to devalue the Biden administration, black people did this with themselves. I just wanted to add that context. Did she think that people thought that like Biden like forced black people to get to work? What is this context? I don't understand. Okay, I'm just upset. That's me. That's fine.
Let's move on to the next prompt.
I try to be pretty fair.
Interest doesn't make current loans double. Because Biden's plan is income-based. If you don't benefit, it gets forgiven. At least under Biden's SAVE plan. Wait, what do you mean if you don't benefit?
We need somebody more progressive for president. Will the
Need?
agreeers please step forward?
You need? No. You don't need one. We literally need somebody to prevent us. Right now, we need somebody to prevent our country from becoming an anti-democratic hellscape that Donald Trump wants it to become. That's what we need. Everything else is that is like pro-left position is icing on top of the cake.
Yeah, I personally am of the opinion that we need somebody more progressive for president. I am aware of the attempt that Biden has made to try and cross party lines. That's always been who he is historically. He has always tried to be friends with the guys on the other side and try and get them to see reason. I don't see that being effective when every year the conservatives get more and more conservative. And the Democrats, from what I have seen, just continue to kowtow to it and be like, okay, well, we'll give you an inch, they take a mile. Okay, we'll give you another inch, they take another mile.
Yeah.
How many?
On and on it goes.
On and on it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't think any progressive or left-wing policies has been passed? What is this? Can she give any examples? Can you give me one example of this happening, actually? Because you know what I need to do because there is a tremendous amount of these people. I just need to hold these people to the fire and just be like, okay, give me an example. Because they won't. It's like the people who approach like these red pill or whatever people and say they're misogynistic and then they can't come up with anything. Are those red pill people misogynistic? Almost all of them, yeah. But when asked, hey, can you give me an example of something that I said? They not only do they not give examples of misogyny, they don't give any examples at all. They're just clueless as to give anything. I think these people are exactly the same, but maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll give me something.
And I don't think that, and I think that, like what she was saying earlier about believing in accountability, this is my personal belief in accountability from the Democratic Party. I think we need to take a harder line and be more progressive.
I actually don't agree. I actually think that we should work with Republicans in a specific way, because right now what is happening is that we are unable to be able to get a tremendous amount of Americans on board with being able to see bipartisan electoralism. This being said, I don't think that we should be negotiating on any ground that is to do with like Donald Trump or anti-electoralism, but I think that we can find common ground in things like a really good one that I really don't understand why Joe Biden didn't hit harder on is like being anti like millionaire and billionaires getting like tax cuts or anything like that. Making millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share in taxes is an extremely popular position amongst Democrats and Republicans. Counter to the people that Republicans vote for, it's usually in spite of that. Like they tack that on and Republicans go along with it. But I believe, based on polling and shit like that, pretty much everyone agrees with the idea of making rich people pay their fair share in taxes. To my knowledge, everybody agrees with that. So like focusing on shit like that, like things that we have in common, very important. But I agree that like giving ground to Republicans right now is fucking stupid. That's beyond the, like that's not in the question. What we should do is go like, hey, you guys believe in this shit, we're doing this, so get on the boat. You guys agree with this, you say that you agree with this, holding people to account, so let's do it. It's kind of like when I have referred to Republican talking points or pundits about saying that they give a fuck about like the Epstein files and shit like that. Cool, the guy that you're voting for is literally all over it. Holy fuck, that I just walked right into that, bro. What is this music, bro? This music is mid as fuck.
They always say that we're progressive and insane and that we're going to try and take away their rights, but what have we done?
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I completely agree. So not to be this guy, but you know, I'm LGBT, so as a result of that, over the past few years, I have seen the culture shift so tremendously. in this bigoted direction. And obviously, the president is not in charge of the culture of a country, but you know, I think it's a part of the equation. You know what I mean? It's a part of the equation, and I suppose it's just very hurtful. I remember last Pride Month, I was
Wait, does this person think that Biden is like hurting the image of gay people?
so angry all month. I didn't feel any sense of connection and community, and I'm not gonna be like dramatic and be like, and I was scared, because like, you know, I'm a tall white guy. Obviously, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But the point is, that sucks, and that breaks my heart. And you know, I'm a very progressive person. I'll be the first to say it. But yeah, I think we need someone to get in there and kick ass and change a lot of things. I think, and I know that is such a minuscule, like, you know, facet of everything that's going on. But I guess the reason I plant my flag there is because it affects me so personally, and I've felt that culture shift during Biden's presidency, you know? Because like when I was in high school during Trump's presidency, there were people saying slurs to me all the time. It's fine, like well, it wasn't fine, but you know what I mean? Like, it was something I got accustomed to, but I haven't seen the needle switch back since Biden became president. I've seen it go the exact opposite way. And I'm also not the most important.
What does he think that Biden should do to tackle homophobia? Can we get like any kind of solutions here? Any kind of proposals? Anything? Can I get anything from this person? Please? I just have a hard time when people say we need more progressive people, because 9 out of 10, in my experience, those people don't fucking vote. I agree, the Grand Kisman. Not only do the people who say that shit not vote, but also, like, half of the policies that these people have espoused that they wanted over the past 5 years, Biden's already putting in place. They were talking about student debt relief. Biden did it. Biden's doing it. Like, they were talking about, like, expanding healthcare coverage for underprivileged people. Biden's doing it. Biden's been doing it. They're talking about, like, bro, what do you want? You want socialism? Is that what you want? Is that where the goalposts are? No, that's not how the world works, okay? We need to go at a speed that every single person is, well, not every single person, but the electorate primarily, because those are the people who guide the country, vote if you actually want to do anything with, in regards to this. Like, it's going to go in a direction where those people feel comfortable. That's what it is. You can't have like a communist utopia overnight. It can't happen. The culture shock is insane. So you have to go at their pace. You have to go at a pace that the American electorate, the American people, voting public, dictate. And you're way too quick. You're way too fast.
Person when it comes to policy or things like that, I'm simply talking about from a cultural perspective, from what I've felt, what I've seen, and what I've read. And so with that in mind, yeah, we need someone with fresh ideas.
Like, the thing is I hate saying this, but like the Republican Party, when they're in power, they go balls to the wall.
Oh yeah.
Why don't we go balls to the wall to
saying.
protect? That's another thing for
I
me,
totally agree.
Where I was like, why are we not working harder to protect ourselves from if there is a Republican presidency? Because you know that is exactly what they do.
Absolutely.
That's why it takes so long for Democrats to try to like do so much, is because they're trying to unfuck up everything. Okay, well, why are we not doing the same?
100%, yeah.
Devin.
I definitely think we need a more progressive president. If it's one thing if he was around before desegregation and actually is making waves, but I don't see much improving. He was a part of the time during segregation. He was against desegregation. I don't trust him. I think Biden.
are you talking about?
Biden. He was against desegregating schools, and I've just seen what people like. For example, my grandmother. What people are working towards. He acts like he's for it, but he's really not. Like, he's just not there. And I feel like we need somebody that is a fresh face, that actually is conscious, that can look at both sides and take, okay, you got some good points, you got some good points, and incorporate as a whole, opposed to just pushing the 1%.
Do you think a fucking progressive is gonna do that? You think a progressive is going to have any kind of voter base if they look at both conservative and Democrat ideas and tries to come to a comprehensive solution? What? No, literally nobody's going to vote for that person, because the only person who would vote for these like hyper progressive people are like young, like 20-year-olds in college who want socialism. They're going to be wholly unaccepting of any progressive who views right-wing policy at all and wants to come to a compromise. It's just not a thing. This is ridiculous.
Agendas.
Let's bring in our disagreeers.
Okay. So I want to jump in because I was able to jump in last time and I had a lot to say. I think that he's the most progressive president in his administration than we've had in a long time. Some would even argue more so than Obama. I'm not saying I argue that. I'm saying that has been said. He has the judicial bench, which is your federal appeals court, your federal district court, and obviously the Supreme Court, right? We all know he got Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, in there, and she's more than qualified, right? But what we also don't talk about enough is the fact that 75% of his appointees across the judicial bench are women. 65 of those are people of color. Now, you sparked a thought in me, sir, when you talked about the LGBTQ community. Well, President Biden actually has made it so LGBTQ folks can more readily serve in the military without having to go through all of this red, unnecessary tape because they're citizens and they have that right. No other president has done that. Also putting them in the leading positions of government. No other president has done that. Full circle to this discussion, he does not act alone. Right? So when you say he's not progressive, there is things he's tried to push through, and he did not stack the court because he is trying to be bipartisan, right? Because then they're going to go back and stack the court. Now, to your point, sometimes you got to just play ball. So at the end of the day, I get it, but I am not willing to have a conservative court. Project 2025 is very, very real. He's not acting alone. There are other branches of government, and we need to exercise our right as citizens, and it is imperative during this election because we may not get another chance.
I think it's really important that when people talk about the Democrats need to go in and win because the Republicans are winning so much and we're not doing enough. I think it's easy sometimes to see when things are bad, but it's really hard sometimes to see when things are actually going in our favor. The Democratic Party has issues, and there are things that I think if you're more progressive, you should be pushing them on. If you're less progressive, you push them another way. But the Republicans are literally tearing themselves apart, and it's hard from the left to see that. But for the first time in U.S. history, you've got people that can't hold their speaker position in the House. That is tragic and hilarious at the same time. You've got I'm pretty sure he was the most popular man in media, maybe worldwide, Tucker Carlson, who gets fired from Fox News because he gets caught lying about basically rigging an election, and then there are leaked texts showing how unhappy he is with Donald Trump being the president. This is your largest man in conservative media that hates the fact that the president is the president. You've got things like January 6th occurring. You've got these felony indictments that he's both facing and been convicted on. You've got a Republican leadership that is praying, as much as you might not see it, they're praying for the day that Donald Trump is gone. You've got a man who is so vindictive in Georgia that he didn't support either of their runoff elections because he was so mad that Raffensperger wouldn't plot with him to overthrow the election. So even though it feels sometimes like we're always losing as Democrats, Republicans came in saying they were going to repeal and replace the ACA. They didn't manage to do it. They didn't replace anything. They might have repealed it a bit, but they didn't have that vote for McCain. They didn't pass any major legislation. They got their tax cuts, and that was it. The Trump administration was a failure. They didn't even get their border completely built. They didn't get the money for Mexico. They didn't get anything.
But even more than focusing on what they didn't do, let's acknowledge what he has done. $400 million to climate change, that's important. In 50 years, if we don't stop messing up soil degradation, we're not going to be able to have
400 billion.
400 billion.
Yeah,
thank you for correcting me. No, seriously, the largest ever in the president. So how much more progressive can you be?
I was just gonna say, I feel like
Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Literally, what else do you want? The fact of the matter is, this person that they're acting like is this hyper, fucking white bread liberal, Wonder Bread liberal, is doing incredibly progressive shit. What the hell is this? I'll replace that, just that way we can get more shit.
To what progressivism is. You brought up the LGBTQ community. Human Rights Campaign goes through a whole calendar timeline of him going against the license to discriminate that Trump put in, him putting in the Respect of Marriage Act that made same-sex couples tax code and benefits.
Removing the Muslim ban.
And the citizenship for straight same-sex couples that get children from across border lines, that they now have citizenship. even trans people in foster care, LGBT youth is protected more, and the ACA has been expanded to not discriminate against people seeking gender-affirming care. You have this DOJ taking Tennessee to court for their trans ban. I just don't know what we're looking at when we talk about progressivism anymore, with like clean water too, with the IRA, the infrastructure bill. There's so many of these things that we're talking about: clean drinking water, safe energy
We
emissions.
still don't got clean drinking water.
And that's why he put it forward.
Exactly, $260 billion in investments.
Let's not go down that specific. I want to hear her.
I just want to state, I don't think that any of this is Biden in particular. I do not think that Biden...
What? Did you think that shit came out of thin air? What the fuck are you... What? Okay, I'll just listen.
Is solely to blame. I'm not delusional enough to be like, oh, well, Biden is the curse of all our problems any more than I think that Trump is the source of all of our problems. I think that Biden is a symptom of an issue.
Wait, why is she acting like Biden and Trump are on a similar playing field for like being the source of problems? What? Trump is way more responsible for shitty things happening in this country than Biden is. Hello? I'm losing my, like, this fake fucking, I hate, this is like that fence sitter nonsense or whatever, where it's like, oh my God, I have to somewhat come off as like critical of both. No. In some respects, one side is just massively worse than the other. Overall, absolutely. But like, even if we're just talking about generally, you might be able to find like one thing or a couple things that Trump did that were pretty cool. I think there was some like bipartisan prison reform I think he might have done really early on. But other than that, like when we're talking about the lion's share of really cool shit, like they're talking about the massive investment in climate change reform, the massive investment in student loan relief, the massive investment in children being able to have access or be able to effectively get to schools and get to education and shit like that, bro. Like, this is so lame. You are so lame.
That I'm seeing with the Democratic Party, in which we're not fighting hard enough, in my opinion, for specific policies that I'm very passionate about.
Like?
I'm not saying that he has not made any sort of progress. I actually do believe he has made a lot of progress, but the things that that I would like to have seen that would make me feel safer as an American in this country are things that I am not currently seeing.
Can I ask you, because I think you might represent a large demographic of people who feel the same way. Can you share with us what some of those policies are? Because we know what he has done, but we don't know.
So for me personally, I'm seeing a lot of, for one,
Oh, they're doing the thing! They're doing the thing! Well, like, so here's something you need to understand is, I mean, and it's a really big issue. So if we really focus in on some of these policies that, are a really big deal to a tremendous amount of Americans, I mean, you really got to consider the impacts of some of these things. But like, for one, I mean, this is just for starters. That way we can really open up into the greater discussion to be had here. Again, just, the beginning here. Like, she's rambling. They are rambling because they were asked, hey, what kind of policies are you expecting out of this administration? They're fucking folding right in front of us.
The Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. That terrified me.
Bro, you got fucking brake checked on IRI saying you didn't have the votes, nigga. Next. Literally next. Bro got brake checked in 4K. Next point.
And again, that's a moment where I don't hold Biden accountable for that. That's not...
Okay. Well, okay. So we're still stalling. Okay. Okay. So we're still stalling. Just put that. We're still stalling. Because this chick asked, what were you expecting for the Biden administration? And she's like, we really need to take a look at something here. And, we're talking about like the Roe v. Wade stuff. And I know Biden didn't do it. Cool. That wasn't my fucking question. You just recognized Biden couldn't do anything about it. Answer the question. You're stalling.
He's not the one who stacked the Supreme Court. That is also a problem of the Democratic Party. I do think that certain Democrats should.
What? How is that what? How is that the problem of the Democratic Party? Should they have stripped the right for the president to be able to? Should they go, oh yeah, Donald Trump is probably going to become the president. Let's strip the right for the president to be able to appoint Supreme Court justices? What is this woman talking about? They're just, did they just like the sound of their own voice? They're yapping.
Have resigned before getting so sick that they died in office and leaving that position open for a Republican incumbent.
Well, the fact that you have lifetime appointments is problematic.
Wait, so hold on. Wait, he's saying that they should have strategically resigned because are Supreme Court judges even allowed to do this? To be this partisan in their actions that they go like, hey, I actually have reason to believe a Republican president is going to be elected next term, and let me be strategic with me choosing to step down while a Democratic president is in power, so that way they can elect somebody who would be, or appoint somebody who would be another Democratic judge. Are they even, is that conduct? I don't know. Maybe it isn't against it, but that feels like weird conduct. Like, I don't like that. I wouldn't like those games being played in the Supreme Court. They do that? I don't care. That's weird. That's not cool. For what the Supreme Court is supposed to be, which is a group of people who are supposed to be nonpartisan, and are supposed to interpret the law in a nonpartisan fashion, that is a weird thing to do. That is not that's a very, very weird thing to do. No, that's weird. To just go like, hey, look, I'm going to get appointed by this way, a Democratic person. Why? What is this behavior? If I truly believe this, and if I run in line with this idea, I would much prefer that the Supreme Court change in its structure. Obama couldn't get an empty spot to fill through Congress, so how would retiring help him? It would automatically give Trump more spots? Oh, I didn't even know that you need to go through Congress to do it. I thought it was a unilateral decision. Let's look that up. How to appoint a Supreme Court judge. Selected. The president nominates someone for vacancy on the court, and the Senate votes to confirm the nominee, which requires a simple majority. In this way, both the executive and legislative branches of federal government has a voice in the composition of the Supreme Court. Okay. Obama, presidency, Senate. Can I summary? Senate. Yep. Can I look that up? Is this a? Can I get like a Senate makeup by year? Is that a thing? Can I do that? Senate makeup by. Oh. Oh, it's literally actually called this. So there's 100. This. Wait, no, this is for Congress. Wait, no, yeah. Mark, yeah, Biden's attorney general was Obama's SCOTUS pick. Eric? Okay. Let's just Google. Let's go back to the. So can I have the Senate go? as president. This gave Democrats an overall federal government trifecta for the first time since 103rd Congress. However, the Senate supermajority only lasted a period of 72 working days, while the Senate was actually in session. A new delegate seat was created for the most longest serving average members of the House. Here, is the makeup over here accurate? So they just had a majority? So it looks like, or is this the supermajority? How long did this last? Here to here. Of the senators, I believe. I don't know why it wouldn't tell me makeup, but I'm assuming this makeup is correct. It looks like they might have been able to do it then. Obama briefly had a majority. Looks like they might have briefly had a supermajority. McConnell won and Obama lost. The American States Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell can do a victory lap success in keeping Barack Obama from shifting the ideological balance of the Supreme Court. Democrats, meanwhile, have to ask whether Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland, a 63-year-old moderate, was a mistake. Some aggressive hopes for a younger. Mitch McConnell, who seized the moment after the death of Scalia last February to announce there would be no confirmation hearings until after the election, the next justice could fundamentally alter the direction of the Supreme Court justice and have profound impact on the country. So when did this happen? Oh, that was cheated it. Yeah. Thank you, majority raved the conservative justice that indeed that the national polls reflect factor. Oh wow, 21% of voters said the Supreme Court was a major factor in how they voted. Really high. Wait, when did Mitch McConnell become Senate majority? Majority 2015 to 2021. What? So couldn't they have done this like earlier? Couldn't they have done this like in Obama? Yeah, served from then to then. So like couldn't they have done this in theory from anywhere between 2009 to 2015? In theory, if they wanted to have somebody step down? Like if they had a Supreme Court justice step down in, let's say, 2011, couldn't they have done that because all they would need would be a simple majority in the Senate? Yeah, but no one was asking for that. Yeah, I'm not trying to say that they were asking for that. I'm just trying to figure out if it's possible. I don't think that, I think what this woman is talking about is some hindsight shit. That's not super relevant. Like, obviously, people are not going to be talking about a Supreme Court justice stepping down probably like 10 or like 12 years before they have to. Like, that's not happening. But,
exactly, but that's another thing. Why are we not making changes?
But to be clear, it seems like she is correct that it is possible, that or somewhat realistic that it could have happened. I don't think anybody, again, was asking for it or anything, but yeah, it's 1,000,000% hindsight, yeah. This just demonstrates the problem of filibustering. I don't think they know that Congress legislates those bills, so it's directly voted for, yeah.
To those kinds of policies, because I am terrified of the fact that if there is a Republican candidacy and 2 people resign, we're stuck with those guys for life. And I don't feel as though I am safe as an American citizen under that sort of rule when they have already stated that they're...
Okay, so what could Joe Biden do about this? Because now we're talking about Barack Obama, right? We talked about Barack Obama. Okay, you've successfully deflected for 2.5 minutes and haven't answered the question. Let's not escape from the fact this woman has yet to answer the direct question she was asked, which was, hey, what kind of progressive policy would you think Joe Biden could have passed that he didn't? What should Joe Biden have done in regards to policy that he didn't? Yet to answer that, by the way.
There are policies against birth control, against gay marriage, against...
And he was actively working to... what? They literally gave... The dude next to her gave examples. What?
Basically human rights that they are aiming to attack. And if it's the Supreme Court's decision, like, what the f*** are we gonna do?
I think what bothers me, and I'm sorry, I'll let you go. I'll just make...
Bro, it's just give me a policy. Don't let her weasel out of that. She just successfully weaseled out of that.
Make it quick. We always talk about like, oh, the Supreme Court, oh, ratifying, oh, why don't we have more votes? But I think the best way to empower voters, we talked about empowering black voters, is to tell people when we're in the media, like this media space, what accomplishments he has made. And if we don't do that, we just sit here dogging like, oh, he ate ice cream and he doesn't care about Israel, Gaza, I don't think that's going to do anything to help us get more seats. For the record. I understand, but you realize that joke is sent on Fox News 24/7, Fox and Friends, and I don't think it's a joke to the people who say Trump save us anymore. And I don't think it's a joke for people when we ask them, what's progressive policy do you want? I don't hear the joke anymore. And so I think instead of
kind of based, actually,
putting him down in every single term.
Hold up, this nigga cooking.
We can say, look, he has done this, look, he has done that. We should go out and vote because of what he has done.
What you said was super valid, but I just, 30 seconds, I jumped in with this is what he's done, because what you said is so important.
Well, I think Biden's been awfully progressive. This is the first sitting president to walk the picket line. I mean, unions are a huge deal, and that's a big step from Biden. He tried to forgive $400 billion in student loans. He got shut down by the Supreme Court. So he came back the next day, and he's forgiven $160 billion for 5 million people, and that means a lot. Now, I voted for Bernie. I'm a progressive. I voted for Bernie in the primary, but I warmed up to Biden because I value competence. Now, I realize you got to bring all these people together. People don't understand how this Senate and this House of Representatives work. We need competent people, and I honestly think Biden has taken us forward, and the progressives have had an impact on him, so keep the pressure up, but get behind the man.
And don't
let
the media polarize you. You have to do your own research, and you have to learn what he's actually done. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so gracious and I'm so grateful that you said what you said as far as like, you know, when we say certain rhetoric, it doesn't help, because I had to educate myself. I said, what has he done? Because you might surmise at this point, I'm not just going to give anybody anything, but I'm also not going to take anything if the person is deserving of it. And he has been by far the most progressive president. I did not know that, so I wasn't educated. I thought I wasn't aware of that, and I have a problem saying that.
It's
because
crazy,
the minute we
actually.
start acknowledging that we don't know everything, then we can start learning. And the reality is, he is the most progressive president.
So in the same token that where you can celebrate his wins, I agree 100%. Is that you have to be realistic with what he's done, with the progression he's made in terms of legislation. Like you mentioned way earlier in the beginning of this video, is that we've seen legislation that Trump in his 4 years couldn't have imagined of passing. And specifically the infrastructure bill, which he tried to do. I just think that at the same time that I don't necessarily like the idea, and I'm not saying any of you have posed it forward, of pulling any punches because of the overarching, fear of Republicans taking it. So that's my only point, is that I'll celebrate his wins because it's facts.
But why not restrict that to the primary? Primary's over. It's time to get behind Biden.
I just would go along with the idea that maybe it can help progress forward as well, is that where we can make enough of a noise about what we need better from him, whilst again being fair in and celebrate what he's done.
So besides Palestine, what do you think we need better from him?
I think we need the idea of consistency amongst his administration.
Okay, great. We got another question. What should he be doing better? Let's see if we got another person who folds. Consistency amongst his administration. That means nothing so far, but I did cut him off.
So when we go and we see that he's being kind of positively ambiguous about the Israeli proposed ceasefire deal. And we're hearing that
notice how she said, besides Israel-Palestine, and we're already back on Israel-Palestine. Really interesting how these, really interesting.
One representative of Israel is saying that we're going to continue this on. So like, I don't know about any ceasefire deal that he's talking about, we're going to continue. So that's kind of the idea, is that I don't see a really set, justified, solid position from the administration that's kind of collaborating with the Israeli position.
I think that when people talk about Biden too, I think the feeling that the pro-Biden people get sometimes is they wish that the Biden, I don't know if you say detractors or people that are trying to push him more, would speak about like Biden and instead of Biden but. So saying that I really think that Biden is doing a decent job as a president and I wish that he would do more for these particular issues, rather than I really like Biden as a president, but he hasn't done anything for X, Y, Z. Like there's only so much that he can do. You're sending the man into the arena with only a shield, a 50-person Senate, and you're expecting him to accomplish miracles. And the reality is, if you really want to see what a fully unleashed Biden looks like, you've got to get him more votes in the Senate. It would be so important to see what he can actually do for the country.
And that's on us as the people.
Look, I'm willing to admit. Devin wanted to.
I want to say, you guys can say what you want. You can judge me if you want. And I know it's going to come down between Biden and Trump. I'm not voting. And I know that you say whatever you want to judge me. We're either way, in my opinion. So, like, honestly, I hope Jill Stein will get a chance, which she won't because the 1% runs the world. But I don't have faith in either one of them. I cannot, in good faith.
But Devin, why are you here then?
I know. I am Democrat.
What the fuck? The host calls her out. The fucking host calls her out.
Originally, but I want to see the party grow. But I really hope that a miracle can happen.
I have to just say,
the World Economic Forum and Big Pharma got their hands in everything.
Devin, I appreciate you responding to my assertion, and then I cut you off.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Wow, you're good at your job. Yeah, I was gonna say, no, I'm willing to admit it's an emotional thing for me. You know what I mean? It's because of very specific treatment I have faced when I was a kid. Just being out and about, I've had some really nasty shit. I've had my life threatened, that kind of stuff. So I'm willing to admit it's emotional for me. I'm not gonna be looking at it, sort of what Muhammad was saying, examining my biases. I'm not gonna be able to look at it from a completely three-dimensional, fair perspective. But
What is it? I'm sorry, I'm not.
It? Being discriminated as a...
No, but what is it keeping you from?
What's the question? Sorry.
What can't you look at fairly?
Yeah, what can't you look at fairly?
Oh, just like the issue as a whole, I suppose. If Biden if we need someone more progressive, or if he's progressive or not.
But don't you think that's kind of selfish?
Do I think it's selfish to use my experiences to express my opinion?
Yes. That's kind of a yes, absolutely.
Well, to affect?
That's your vote, right?
I think if more people were honest.
Yes. He's scooting away from that question. Yes, it is selfish. Hold on. Let's just do the simple thought experiment, okay? Because it's a microcosm. You work at a Democratic workplace. There is 5 people who work there with you. There is 6 total people, okay? You and 5 other co-workers. You guys are going to vote on whether or not there is going to be a person, a supervisor who comes in. One of the supervisors is somebody who doesn't believe in democratic rule of law. And it's just going to be like what he says goes, right? And everybody in the office likes the idea of democratic rule of law. But a lot of them don't want to vote. They aren't really feeling it, okay? And you have a vote that is necessary, or might be necessary, I should say, and can influence whether or not this guy gets voted in. And you just go, nah, I'm lazy. Or, nah, I don't want to do it because I feel disaffected by the system. That is selfish. You are affecting other people because you feel a specific way. He even admitted that it might not be justified. He gave him a leg up, an alley-oop. He was like, yeah, I just got a bias. Just is what it is. I just feel that way. It's like, okay, yeah, that's selfish. You're recognizing that the way that you feel is not justified, and you're going, don't really care. I'm not doing this. It's stupid. What's up, Studberry?
with themselves, everyone votes from a somewhat emotional perspective.
That's all I'm saying. That's all
because
Wait, no, it's not all he's saying. He's saying that emotional perspective is preventing him from being able to positively affect other people. That is bullshit, okay? I don't care how disenfranchised you feel, or even potentially that you are. Voting for somebody, if you can, voting for somebody that is actually going to help more people than another person, especially at the difference that we have. It's not like this is like a marginal difference here. One, again, is trying to undermine democracy, and the other one's trying to get you fucking free health care, right? We're talking about a pretty big difference here. Like, this should not be up for debate. You're just selfish. And that's not the end of the world. Plenty of people are selfish. Like, what is it? A third of America doesn't even vote? Or like half, I think, of America doesn't vote? Plenty of selfish people. That's selfish, by the way.
And that's just, as much as we all want to be like, oh, I'm non-biased, I'm non-partisan, I'm non-this, non-that. Right. We all come from an emotional perspective. He's just being very upfront about it.
Because you guys made some very excellent points, so I'm just making the point that...
Cool. He's making the point that he's biased, but he's... Hold on. This is stupid. This is like when people talk about mental illness. None of these people know how to talk about mental illness. And it's absolutely showing in this encapsulation. You can be biased, that's fine. It's when you use your bias as an excuse to be able to justify selfishness is when it becomes a problem. You know what this person should have said when they said the other people said that they were selfish? Yeah, it is a little bit selfish. Just like how, if anybody remembers, I was on J-Stock stream, and they were talking about progressive victory, and they were talking about people who were employed by them and hadn't disclosed it, and then they brought up, the fact that I hadn't disclosed it, and I was a member of progressive victory, and they're like, hey, what's up with that? And I was just like, I was lazy. And it was not good. It was a bad thing to do. I was just being lazy. Didn't really think about it. Wasn't really high up on my priorities. Should have been, but it wasn't. I accept responsibility. That's it. That's it. That's what it should have been. Yeah, I was lazy. Yes. I accept responsibility. I did something not good out of laziness. Yes. That's what it is. And then you're just like, okay, go next. Next question. Yeah, I did a bad thing. Yes.
You're right. I am emotional about it, and I probably can't examine.
I can't speak for everyone.
I don't know why Green Shirt is even there. She is non-voting conspiracy theorist retard. I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
Is not like who is anti-Biden. I just want to say that, like, for me, being anti-Biden does not mean I am not voting. I think that voting is an extremely important part of democracy, and just because I am anti-Biden does not mean I will not be voting for progressive people lower, because I think that it is the lower, more...
But those down ballot individuals have endorsed Biden, like Bernie and AOC.
I'm aware that they have.
And so how can you know better? Do you feel that you...
I'm not saying I know better.
Don't you think they know what's best for this country? These people are in the system?
But I am saying that they don't know my morals. It's from an emotional spot where I am saying that I can't.
Really, what are your morals? Because you seem to dance around that question insanely. I mean, to her credit, she did it well. It was a very good deflection. We'll put that out there. It's a very good deflection. But, like, what is the progressive policy that you're looking for that Biden didn't implement that is preventing you from voting for him? Because we could talk all day about progressive policies that Biden hasn't implemented that would be phenomenal to have. Let's just start with the obvious one, a public option. We need some form of public health care in America. That's long overdue. We need it, all right? Can Biden do that unilaterally? Nope. He can't. He can't do that. He can't just go, here's like a multi-trillion-dollar change to the entire fucking structure of this country. He can't just do that, okay? He can try. He can try to be able to implement it, but in his attempts to be able to try, he's been shut down because that shit is not easy. It's not cheap, and the implementation of it is in many ways like political suicide. Because here's the thing, and maybe the data has changed, but a public option is phenomenally popular amongst the American people. Having a public health care option is phenomenally popular amongst the American people. However, the implementation of that public health care policy is where the devil lies. If you take taxpayer money, you're fucked. So many people are going to use that as fear mongering. It's going to go all over every single fucking news, whatever shit, and then you're fucked. Okay? If you try and tax the rich to be able to take from it or whatever, there's some people who might view that favorably, but you can't do that. There is not enough money. Just flat out, they don't make enough money unless you take all of their money to be able to support that. I hate to break it to people, but even billionaires don't make trillions of dollars in taxable income, because if you taxed it, there would be no businesses left in America. You have to tax normal people. But the thing that people don't understand is if you tax them, the overall savings that you're going to save on medical bills, on co-pays, on all of these things will result in a lower cost to the average person. That's what it is going to do, based on all of the information that I had ingested. It's going to cost normal, everyday people, 90% of the people in America, less doing that, even though they are getting taxed more, because they don't no longer have to pay for this bit of health insurance. They no longer have to pay for this doctor visit. It's just, yeah. Anyway, non-voting conspiracy theorists have a lot of opinion on politics. Yeah, isn't it weird how that works, Progressive Matters? Progressives need to take a page of the Democratic Socialist playbook. You need to work your way slowly towards power. Instead, they will shoot themselves in the foot by not voting for sensible presidential choice. Instead, they will set themselves back 30 years because they got their feelings hurt. I agree. Listen, and that's how I have structured my interactions with people who are more progressive. Let's talk about actual socialists, right? How I've structured my whole commentary. It's like, hey, look, we are allies at least for the next, total allies pretty much for the next 30 years or something like that, unless there's something crazy that happens in America, okay? Because Biden, first of all, he accelerated that way farther than I thought. With the whole student loan and the infrastructure thing, it looks like it might not necessarily be 30 years. What do I mean by allies for the next 30 years? Is pretty much any policy that a socialist is going to really like, is going to be policy that I like and that I try and push for it, right? Even though I'm not a socialist. We're going to have so much overlap because we're pushing up against somebody or a group of people who very much want the exact opposite of what each other want. Let's just work together, get, a strong foothold, because at the end of the day, I would much rather have socialists like Bernie Sanders have way more power than anybody anywhere close to Donald Trump, okay? If Bernie Sanders was my enemy, bro, life is good, okay? If Bernie Sanders was the one across the aisle from me, life is good. But that's hopefully where we'd be headed, but yeah.
Not get behind him.
We've been on this prompt for too long, so we have to move on.
Okay. The shooting at Trump's rally will change the course of the election.
I'm not sure anybody could confidently say yes or no to this. That it's definitely it will change the course of the. I don't know. I guess to agree it already has, but when I ingest the word course, what I'm hearing is that it will change the outcome. Is this Alex Stein? IRI is on the next episode, by the way. Next episode preview, IRI is there. Is this Alex Stein? Is the new episode out yet? I thought it was supposed to come out this weekend. Maybe it's next weekend.
Will the agreeers please step forward? Somebody.
I don't wish that he died.
But you just said that you'd be happy if he did.
I'm glad he didn't die, okay? I'm sure someone out there loves him very much.
Hold on, Alex, repeat that again.
I want you guys to both say this out loud.
Wait, what happened?
Wish that he died.
But you just said that you'd be happy if he did.
I'm glad he didn't die, okay? I'm sure someone out there loves him very much.
What did he say? What did he say?
hope I see
Someone out there loves it.
I don't condone violence, but
I don't condone violence, but I hope I see
Someone out there loves it.
Wait, hold on, Alex, repeat that
Wait,
again.
I want you guys to both say this out loud, very clearly.
Wait, what did you just say?
I said I don't condone violence, but I hope I see something.
What does that mean?
It means that Trump got it coming to him.
You know, look.
Yikes. Damn, that's a certified, that's a take right there, bro. That's a Destiny take, isn't it? Well, no, probably not that got it coming. Would he say got it coming? I think he might actually. He's got it coming. I think he would actually say that. Wouldn't he? Because isn't his point that, like, being an insurrectionist and being somebody who's supporting an insurrection, you are literally asking for people who believe very strongly in democratic rule of law to have a strongly antagonistic position towards you that is going to have overlap with crazy people, or not even like ludicrously crazy people or anything, but also yes, ludicrously crazy people, right? There's reasonable people who are going to be like, yeah, you're a piece of garbage, but then you're going to have the crazy people who take it far and then try and kill you. I'm not sure he would disagree with that, but I don't know.
I categorically reject all kinds of political violence against all people. I see you readying your next line for your Tucker Carlson audition tape. Hold on to
Tucker
it.
Carlson's my biological stepdad. Go ahead.
Okay, so you didn't have to practice it.
Are you gonna rage quit?
I was just disappointed in you, honestly.
Okay,
Why?
can you everybody just shut the f up so I can talk?
Biden is supporting genocide. Biden is supporting...
Oh, you're so cringe. She's skipping over. She's so cringe.
Genocide. Agreeers, step forward.
Okay, so now we're going to debate on what genocide is. And that's going to be a spicy one, okay? Because I don't think any one of these cucks who are coming forward know what the fuck a genocide is, okay? They just think a lot of people dying is a genocide. That's what they think it is. When a lot of people die, it's a genocide. But no, let's hear it.
Never heard for you.
Yeah, so I take this...
Damn, she's coming forward. That's she did speak earlier. It did seem that way.
Issue
that she
pretty
would come
seriously
forward.
because I am a first-generation Palestinian American.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, dude. Oh my God. I'm sorry, bro. I understand why you would actually have a strong affiliation for it. The reason why I'm sighing is because this to me just feels the same as you know what? I came forward because George Floyd was a big deal to me. I am half black. It's really important to me. I got family in the black community. So it's bro, okay.
Both my parents are Palestinian, and I just think that we go in, it's nice to specify terms into what's actually happening and what's going on, but regardless, I more want to talk about the response as opposed to what's going on in general. There's the Israeli-Gaza war. I think that the Biden response has been disastrous. I just feel as though that Biden's administration is not really on the same page when it comes to making statements even about the Israeli-Gaza war, where we have such a confident Biden come up and talk about an Israeli-led ceasefire proposal. And then just 5 days later, you have the UN representative of Israel saying they vow to continue the war. And so it's almost as if, I know that the situation in Israel in terms of their government is already fractured.
Yeah.
Is already at an all-time high, tensions in the street. You have probably the most active street protest that Tel Aviv has ever seen. It's just interesting to see the inaction of the Biden administration trying to, I guess, kind of put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. That's the best way I can describe it, where you have the pier being built and then you have airdrops going on. But really, I think that the U.S. has the pull internationally to put an end to it and to get the hostages home and then to also just stop the civilian casualties that we're seeing in Gaza.
Cool. Explain how. Cool. Explain. Because I completely disagree. I think if we pulled all aid and actively started shitting on Israel, they would literally have a Ukraine moment. And they'd just be like, cool, don't care. The spirit of Israel will never die. And you fucking traitors who tried to support us and then now are trying to fuck us over are dead to us. And we will do everything in our power to survive and last as long as possible, despite all of these pieces of shit betraying us and stabbing us in the back. I am so confident in this claim that anybody that tries to tell me otherwise, I'm just putting you in the book of retards. You can't disagree with me and in my mind still be an intelligent individual. It's not possible. This is absolutely the case. They're not just going to go, okay, well, it is what it is. What we can do is we can leverage the influence that we have to be able to make minor changes to their behavior. And in some cases, potentially major, but not so major that we end the conflict and get the hostages out. What is this idea that we have this fucking perfect, clairvoyance for, I guess, where the hostages are? Do you think Hamas is just going to go, yeah, we'll release all the hostages, yeah, no, they're not. What the fuck?
Said Biden.
If we did that, they'd probably just start using their nukes. He actually mentioned Biden's peer and other things. Wait, I'm sorry, what? I'd rather see them talking to this guy who kind of seems reasonable. Which guy?
Cavalier attitude about the whole thing is also very obnoxious to me. Yeah. There's this video of him standing in he's always standing in the weirdest places, but he was standing in an ice cream shop, literally licking an ice cream cone. And these reporters like, Mr. President, how about that ceasefire, man? And he's like, it's like Tuesday or Wednesday of that week. And he's like, maybe next Monday.
He said,
should be coming next. Yeah, and then he gets asked later that week, I think that Thursday or that Friday, and he was like, probably not Monday. So that, to me, speaks volumes. I think it's obnoxious. It's not the type of leader I can look up to.
Do they think that he just dictates that Joe Biden dictates the ceasefire? That Joe Biden is the president of Israel, the prime minister? Like, what?
And again, I am not necessarily politically educated enough to put it.
Yeah, you're definitely not, and it's fucking showing. Hold on. I don't know how this person is talking about how they're politically uneducated, but they're somehow politically educated enough to be able to quantify what's going on as genocide. The response, obviously, and I can already hear their fucking dog shit ass voice responding back to me. You don't have to have that much knowledge in politics to be able to understand when a genocide is being conducted. Yeah, you actually do. It is a very sophisticated idea of when genocide is happening. Do you think that the Nazis, when they committed the genocide against the Jewish people, were just proclamating, yes, the genocide is happening? Or do you think there were several different attempts from the Nazis to be able to make it more covert and make it more subtle for a dramatic period of time? Even many of the different German people, the people in Nazi Germany, were not aware of the death camps of a lot of these things happening. It wasn't just something that was like, yep, everybody knows and it just is what it is. Bro, this is so cringe. Is it a genocide? In my opinion, no, it's not. I don't think it is a genocide. It would not qualify as a genocide. And the reason why, put succinctly, is because genocide requires intent. It requires an intent to exterminate a group of people based on, if we're referring to a cultural genocide, based on cultural or ethnic basis. It is removal or expulsion of a group of people on the basis of their ethnicity or their culture, if you want to refer to a cultural genocide. That's what it is, okay? And I understand people's inclination to go, well, they're trying to remove these people, they're trying to ethnically cleanse them. No, they're not. We would see so much different behavior if they were actually attempting to ethnically cleanse. The response always to this is, well, they can't just do it out in the open. Similar to what I said about the Nazis, they're trying to be more subtle about it. Well, then they're being incredibly subtle because there is a tremendous amount of things that they could be doing to be able to actually ethnically cleanse this group that they just are not doing. And it's rather weird, some of these things that they're doing. So, for example, something that a lot of people who say that there's a genocide happening like to claim, but have no evidence of, is Israel directly targeting civilians without any military context. And there might have been more recent incidents, but every single incident that I have been made aware of, that isn't the case. Every time there is civilian collateral damage, there seems to be some kind of intelligence. Whether or not it's sufficient in your mind to be able to meet merit is one thing, but there is some kind of significant military purpose. Sorry, not significant. I shouldn't say significant. That loads it. There is a military purpose. I might even agree in some instances that it's unjustified. But in most instances, there are significant as to the big ones at least, significant military purpose for the reasons why they might strike people and then also kill civilians. So like Al-Shifa Hospital, all of these different things that a lot of people like to shoot off as like definitely instances of genocide. No, they actually had military purpose, and in some instances it's just straight up disinformation. So until I'm given significant amounts of information to show that actually there is indiscriminate attacks on from Israel into Gaza, or a significant series of attacks that have virtually no regard for civilian casualties, then I will actually entertain the idea of a genocide. But until then, it is woefully insufficient. If they don't let Gazans return, it's ethnic cleansing. Yeah, it would be like a cultural genocide. If you want an ethnic cleansing, it would depend. It would depend on if they are preventing them from returning based on ethnicity. Or what? Or like past residents. So like, for example, the guy here who said he was a first generation Palestinian, if he was allowed back, because technically he wasn't born in Palestine, right? He was first generation, meaning that he was the first generation of American Palestinian, right? So if he wasn't allowed back, even though he was never there or whatever, it would be some form of ethnic cleansing, because it would be based on his ethnicity, not some like cultural context or him having lived there. So it's more complicated than just these people are letting it on to believe, or letting it on to be. And also, to further divorce what I was referencing, the Jews that got rounded up in Nazi Germany and surrounding countries to be able to be exterminated by the Third Reich were not with military purpose outside of literal ethnic cleansing. There wasn't a reason to use that tremendous amount of military resources to literally round up families and just kill them. There wasn't a significant military purpose. There was not, okay? They weren't killing terrorists. These were completely innocent people that they were spending like millions and millions of dollars to be able to round up and exterminate. It wasn't like, no, it's completely divorced of my understanding of the Israel-Palestine situation. Cultural genocide. A cultural genocide would be more akin to what is happening to the Uyghur Muslims in China, which is there is a culture or a distinct group of people that exists in a way that is rather benign and innocuous. It's not hurting anybody, but China decided to say, hey, this is not cool, and send them to re-education camps, right, to be able to fit more cohesively with the Chinese way of life. That would be a form of cultural genocide.
Very specific label on it, but I know it's certainly not right. I know that when Israel started attacking Gaza, the population was...
If this person wanted to say it's not right, I would be amenable to accepting that as like the basis for argumentation so far. If they want to say, yeah, it's not right, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm sure we could go through step by step with several of Israel's actions and go, this isn't right. Let me give you an example. The defense of Israeli settlers is fucking retarded, okay? That is a clear encroachment onto, unless something has changed, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, Israeli settlers is fucking retarded. The fact that people in Gaza are living, or people in Palestine are living in the specific areas, and then they're just going like, no, nope, hey, this belongs to us now, and then the IDF is protecting these settlers is fucking stupid, okay? This should be a fuck around and find out situation, because you're going into this area and just going like, hey, it's ours now, and we lay claim to this, and hey, if those Palestinians shoot and kill you for trying to steal their fucking house, they should be able to do that, because you're stealing their fucking house. That's fucking retarded. They shouldn't have IDF support, and in fact, the IDF should be trying to prevent those settlers from just fucking disturbing the fucking peace, bro. You're just stirring up issues between the groups. That's based on my understanding of the situation that was primarily researched about 2 or 3 months ago. But the Israeli settler situation has come to a head prior to that, so I would be pretty surprised if there was new information that prevented that take from being true.
% children, and I say was because I'm willing to bet it's a lot less now. So yeah, I don't necessarily know that I'd use the word genocide just because again I wouldn't say I'm not going to use that. I'm not informed enough. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I can't really put a hard foot down on saying that this is the legal basis that it needs, the international legal basis.
The international legal, like the not the UN,
ICC,
but the ICC has agreed that it is a genocide.
This is not true. The ICJ, if I remember correctly, the ICJ did not rule this. What they did, was misinformation. What they ruled, actually I don't remember, but I do remember that they didn't rule it was a genocide. I remember that specifically. Somebody just donate? I'm sorry, my shit isn't working. I apologize if somebody donated and I didn't see it. My thing is not working. Fun. What Saku? They give the 5. Let's see. What did you say? Hey man, can you do me a favor and say Scooby-Doo, but replace the ooh sound with an E? No, I just did it. Wait, did my mic pick that up? Did my mic pick that up? Okay. In January, the International Court of Justice declared that Israel is plausibly committing genocide in Gaza. The allegations in the ICC are for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Wait, this isn't even true. Wait, are they saying this is what the person said? The allegations in the ICC are for war crimes against humanity, not genocide. No, bro, okay, hold up. We're going to look this up. That is confusing. ICJ, genocide. Let's look this up. Because they had an interview. This is it.
Would it be fair to say, and I'm no lawyer, and many people watching and listening will not be lawyers, but would it be fair to say that the key point that you made your initial order and ruling upon was whether or not there was a plausible case that should be taken on by the court of genocide in the case of Israel's actions in Gaza after October 7, and you quite clearly decided that there was a plausible case. Is it right to say that's at the heart of what you decided?
You know, I'm glad I have a chance to address that, because the court's test for deciding whether to impose measures uses the idea of plausibility, but the test is the plausibility of the rights that are asserted by the applicant, in this case, South Africa. So the court decided that the Palestinians had a plausible right to be protected from genocide, and that South Africa
That's what it was. Fuck, I was trying to remember. They have a plausible right to defend them. And this is important because what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that the Palestinians are a distinct group of people, right? Because the defense that people will have, for some reason, against the idea of like the Palestinians being genocided is that they aren't a distinct group of people that could in theory be genocided. It's just like a group of people that's just kind of like wafted together. So you can't really genocide. It'd be like saying if you bombed a neighborhood, you committed genocide. So that difference is actually really important, because you can't just go, this is a city full of people. Like, let's say the city of New York got bombed. You can't just say it was a genocide, because a genocide requires some kind of intent to exterminate an ethnic group of people or some kind of culture, right? But let's say the bombing of New York was just to strike at a nerve center inside of America. It's not a genocide. That's like a military action to be able to, like a terrorist action. That's not like a genocide, right? And what this woman is claiming is that the Palestinian people, if targeted distinctly, right, has a right to be able to be protected against genocide. Plausible right.
The right to present that claim in the court. It then looked at...
Yeah, or ethnic displacement or something. If cultural genocide, if something like that happens to the Palestinian people, that can be distinctly categorized as genocide. It's not some random neighborhood of people. They have decided that this is a distinct group of people whose culture, whose way of life ought to be protected from genocide plausibly. That is what they decided. Right? Or that they... yeah, that's what they decided. Not that there was a genocide that was happening. That was a misconception that was spread around that was rather annoying.
They also...
The ICJ recently just reaffirmed that the settlements in the West Bank, they're unlawful. Still nothing about Gaza genocide. Broken toilet seat, that's what I'm talking about. If we want to criticize Israel, those fucking settlements, as to my knowledge, as to my understanding of the situation, are fucking retarded, right? That you can't just go into other people's fucking places where they live, kick them out, and not expect them to fucking fight back. And when you have the backing of like military personnel, the IDF or whatever, defending these settlers or what, it's trash. It's trash. All right. So if we're talking about like stoking tensions and causing issues, let's look at the settlers, right? We'll look at Hamas too. We'll look at the the crazy laws that are on the books to be able to help support literal acts of terrorism inside of Israel from Gaza in Palestine as a whole. But also those settlers are just fucking, they're cringe lords, bro. It's pretty weird.
Several years ago, I believe it was the ICC, but I may be wrong, also labeled Israel an apartheid state a long time ago. And I don't think it's asking for too much to just ask Biden to say, like, hey, genocide, bombing civilians, not cool.
Chemical warfare.
Chemical warfare. Like, how hard is it to
chemical warfare? Human Rights Watch has verified Israel's use of white phosphorus. That's not a chemical weapon. Yeah, I read it before this. That's not a chemical weapon. But anyway, in Gaza, it can cause respiratory damage and organ failure. I was going to say that's not a chemical weapon, but all right. I understand that a white phosphorus, to my knowledge, is... isn't it against the Geneva Convention to be able to use white phosphorus? White phosphorus. I could probably just get that out of the Wikipedia page. Convent. Wait, is it actually legal to use this? Human Rights Watch are calling on governments to include phosphorus warheads under the UN Convention on certain conventional weapons. Are not banned. Oh, they're not banned. Oh, okay. You learn something new every day. They're not banned. I thought there was international law that was like, hey, don't do this.
Say that is wrong.
Saying is not enough. funding the war. It doesn't matter if he says, oh, I support all the innocent children in Gaza. As long as they're sending money to Ukraine, as long as they're sending money to Israel, I don't know what money they're contributing to what's going on in Congo. I have to further look into it if I can speak on that. But as long as he and the administration is giving hundreds of millions of our tax dollars to these corrupt countries or places, you can't even call Israel a country, a state. But Biden continuously keeps letting them, if you're so...
You can't even call Israel a country? Foreign aid is approved by Congress. The president cannot unilaterally decide he is or isn't going to send it. According to Brookings Institute, when the U.S. wants to support a country it considers corrupt, it provides a vast majority of the money to NGOs, non-profits, and other organizations. Okay, well, that was actually a good fact check by them because I actually didn't know that.
Go against it, stop the money, to go to Congress, try to have the money stop being sent there for war. They put a dock there in Gaza. The humanitarian aid they're giving was not even real food. They're giving them bullshit. If you really cared about the people, he would treat them better. He wouldn't just sit there and look like a fucking retard and go smell kids off.
Just to clarify, the ICJ ruled the Palestinians are a group. Yeah, that's what I believe happened, yes.
All day.
Kind of what you talked about earlier in the earlier prompt about trusting the administration. There are facets where you trust an administration, but the inconsistency is what I can't go based on. That's what I take my trust from, is consistency, whether it's a personal relationship or trusting your politician. And so when it comes to Biden moving a red line, saying that, okay, I mean a ground invasion in Rafah is what's going to stop me from sending over new ammunitions or new munitions to Israel. And then we see that an Israeli tank, a video is being posted of them going straight through the Gaza entrance sign. It's hard for me to conceptualize any idea that this is going to stop under this administration. I just have a tough time believing it.
I agree.
Let's bring in our disagreeers. Whoever wants to jump in.
I think that the situation in Gaza and Israel is incredibly complicated. I think that the issue when people talk about supporting a genocide or not is they want to make it seem like there is like one obvious answer or one obvious way to escape that situation. And the reality is that accepting an immediate ceasefire, even if the hostages do come back, but leaving an entity in charge of a region that just committed like the largest terrorist attack in the history of your country, probably a deal that no other country in the world would ever be expected to accept.
So let's keep giving them hundreds of millions of dollars every
Well, we should.
Sarcastically speaking.
I wasn't being sarcastic.
Yeah, I don't.
So I think that
your kids and
I think that
Stephen.
Yeah, if my kids were in Israel, I wouldn't want them being rocketed every single day from the Gaza Strip either.
But do you think that not to cut you off in the middle of your statement, but do you think that there's been a change in narrative?
Oh, he's pushing back.
Biden's administration and from Israeli officials about whether it's returning the hostages or completely eliminating Hamas. Do you think that there's just kind of like how we have Ukraine, I'm sure is probably going to come up too, about what is the aim in this war? And then how can we prevent just civilian casualties in general along with ending a war? Because this can't continue. It can't keep going.
Yeah, I think that the aim from the beginning was probably the elimination of Hamas. Obviously, the administration, Netanyahu's administration, is government. They're going to talk about saving the hostages, but it's pretty clear the way they're conducting the war that the goal is probably going to be to remove Hamas as the governing body in that region.
And do you think that that's a goal that's been attainable so far?
I mean, they've caused a lot of damage to the organization.
But then we see in the north of Gaza that there's resurgence of fighting, and that so you've made your way down the Gaza Strip to the south, and there's still resurgence of fighting, and so it's not being eradicated in the rate that we're being told, or even if you want to take...
Yeah, I mean, we won't truly know until the war is officially over, the IDF is withdrawn, and then we see...
So how does it end if Hamas doesn't get eradicated? You know, so...
Well, I mean, eradication could mean a lot of different things. It could mean that they've lost so much... they've lost so much capability that another organization is able to take over. It could be that the PA or the PLO is brought back in, and somehow they're able to govern. It could be that the IDF has some temporary administration there for a few months while it's handed over to another group.
It just seems tough to allow civilian casualties to go on.
How many civilian casualties are enough for it to be like, oh, we're done?
This is time for a ceasefire.
Why do the Israeli hostages look better than all the Palestinian children? All the Israeli hostages that have been released have gained weight. I've seen them starving every day and eating fucking animal feed. Yes, I have. I follow journalists in Palestine. Follow Wizard, no, she's a journalist. That's Palestinian. That stays there instead of leaving to document it. Every single day I watch it and see children being blown up, being women raped and everything. Don't say it's not happening.
Wait, women raped? Where? On video? Wait, am I unaware of this? Is there just videos of this?
We've been hearing for 6 months.
No, sir.
Everybody, I just want to pause for a second.
I don't care.
We know that there are strong opinions on this issue.
Say it's not happening is ridiculous.
Let's just all take a collective breath.
Yes, sir.
And then we can pick up back up where we left off. Devin, if you want to make a point, and then we can
Sir,
move.
Sorry, it's like saying the Holocaust didn't happen. It's the same,
What?
the same bird,
No, it
different
is
wing. It's a
not.
different
No, it is
situation.
not. The amount of documentation. Nah, this person's a loser. Fuck this nigga.
If you think what's going on with the Holocaust is wrong, and you don't think what's going on with Palestine is wrong, you're a hypocrite.
Oh, you're so fucking retarded. You're so fucking retarded. Jesus Christ. Imagine thinking that it is at all comparable, not only the scale, the intent, and the material, actual, evidence showing the genocide that actually did happen in Europe to Jewish people, and then this thing that she's trying to push is definitely happening, that they're at all comparable is insane. No, there's just false talking points. They're even accusing the IDF of training dogs to rape Palestinians. It's stupid.
Point blank period.
I think if the Jews started attacking Hitler with missiles that were being armed by Hitler's missiles, we could say that probably.
What? Wait, if what? Sorry, hold on, I misheard.
Time is wrong. You're a hypocrite. Point blank period.
I think if the Jews started attacking Hitler with missiles that were being armed by Hitler's missiles, we could say that probably.
What? If Israel started attacking Hitler with bombs that were made, what?
But at the same time, we're putting so much of the precedent onto the IDF when Hamas enjoys support from the Palestinian
can I say something
people.
as a Jewish
But you were
Sorry.
talking before. I feel like
sorry, I apologize.
I just think that we should be able to put some responsibility into the Palestinian people's hands. You say eradication, how do we eradicate them? It doesn't have to be a military objective. There has to be a way to meet in the middle ground.
They've offered
That's
proposals.
kind of what I'm going off of.
But do you think Hamas is coming where they're operating in civilian areas, where they're the ones sending rockets, where they went into a rave and took hostages and raped and killed them? Do you think that they're...
I'm not here to justify the actions of any political party. I'm speaking from a humanitarian
Well, Hamas
perspective.
isn't a political party. They're a terrorist group. PLO is a political party. That's recognized.
Separate from their two factions of different entities. My point in saying that was that I'm not in support of anyone in this situation. I'm in support of needless lives dying.
Right.
So my point is that onus, accountability, action, everything like that. How do we prevent people who don't need to be dying from dying is my point.
Do we prevent that by not funding our allies when they get terrorist attacked?
The point is that is there a limit, is there an objective, like how I would say about the Ukraine, which I'm in full support of against a Russian invasion, is that we need to have an objective that's attainable as opposed to continuing war.
How many civilians is acceptable to you, Mohammed?
I think no civilian is acceptable.
So that's why war. This is an existential threat.
So that's what I'm saying. And so at this point, do you think that Hamas has the same capability to cause another October 7th as they were?
Hamas has the capability not to hide within the civilian population and use them as shields. Don't you have any...
Based! Based!
Do you have any comments about that at all?
I do. I
fucking based! Ask every one of these fucks that question. Ask every one of these fucks that question. Because if those slimy motherfuckers were not hiding amongst the civilian population, there would be J-Dam level... It wouldn't even be J-Dam. It would be Jewish space laser level precision. At every one of these Hamas operatives, there would be hardly any casualties of Gazan citizens. Hardly any. But the reason why there's so many of these fucking casualties of civilians in Gaza is because these slimy rat fucks decide to put their fucking rocket installations behind a fucking school. And none of these degens who are fucking defending them, saying Israel is committing a genocide, will ever address that shit. And the moment that they do, then I will be more acceptable to actually having an adult conversation and an actual decent human to human. I will be far more amenable to you. But until then, you're just a fucking loser that wants to scream genocide because you want points on Twitter. That's the reason why.
Never support anyone putting civilians in harm's way. My
So
point
you should be hyper-focused on Hamas and the harm they're putting these civilians into.
So my point is being hyper-focused on what I think will cause the most civilian casualties. And so that is...
Dude, civilian casualties would be fucking zero if Hamas wasn't using them as fucking shields, because Israel would just target the fucking military operatives. Are you fucking joking? Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding me? If there was a military base like any other fucking organized military has that's fucking off on its own, they would just bomb it to shit, kill only the military operatives, and be like, hey, job's done. Hey, yo, we're good, homie. And that would be the end. I promise you that'd be the fastest war in the world, bro. I promise you. Why is he acting like the civilian deaths are any, like, the person who is most responsible for civilian deaths in Gaza isn't Hamas? It is fucking insane to me. And the composure that IRI has after that fucking brain rot that I'm fucking hearing is insanity, bro. This guy, the level of composure here is fucking crazy. Yeah, ask them. You have the power to Thanos Hamas into an open field and the innocent people on the other side of the planet. Israel has one bomb to wipe out all of that group. Which do they choose? Yeah, no, even say that Israel has infinite bombs. There is no reality where Israel targets the civilians. It doesn't happen, okay? And if you think it does happen, it's cool. You're not worth talking to, okay? You're a waste of air. I'm not going to waste my air talking to you, okay? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, okay? I'm not going to do it. I refuse to give Israel blame for the totality or the majority or even a plurality of the civilian casualties when Hamas is doing shit like literally using a hospital as their staging ground. I don't care. I don't care, okay? They're doing it. They're throwing Gazans under the bus. That's their shit. They are primarily responsible. If they weren't spineless rat fucking squid fucks, they would actually not use civilians as shields. But, you know, it is what it is.
The war continuing. So when I know that one party is
this war ends right now if Hamas gives up the hostages and
I don't think so. Is that the aim? Is the war's aim to get back the hostages? Because if it is, do you think the war will end tomorrow with all the hostages?
I think the issue is people. I think it's short-sighted to say that like if the war happens now and civilians are dying, this is a bad thing that needs to stop. Because arguably, if in 2008 for Cast Lead, if they would have eliminated Hamas then, it would have been less civilian casualties. People would have said the same thing. In 2014 for Protective Edge, if they would have eliminated Hamas.
So there's an overarching problem.
I'm just saying that yeah, well, there is a problem right now. That one of the big problems is Hamas, but obviously there's more than
there's more to.
But I'm saying that like if they don't eliminate Hamas now, then what? Do we get another attack in 2025 or in 2030 or in 2035, and then the attack will be even bigger, the population will be even bigger?
But let's put metrics on what the success of eliminating Hamas is. And so, do you think that it's been going well so far in that?
This is so retarded that Israel is. This person's like, let's do the math on this because I understand it. I want to say it's understandable. What he's going is like the war in Gaza has killed far more people than how many people died on October 7th. Several October 7ths could happen, and it wouldn't reach the amount of people. What is it like at this point? Over like what 20? There's 20 October 7ths over that could have been committed before we even touch how many Gazans have died, people or Palestinians have died in this conflict. So, you know, at this point, we should say that they should probably stop or call a ceasefire. They should not be engaging in these actions in Gaza. This is ridiculous. There should not be an expectation for you to just tank terrorist attacks from somebody who shares borders with you because you might have to kill more people than the amount of people that your citizens that they would kill. This expectation is so laughably dog shit and would not be acceptable to anybody ever. The only reason why these fucks can actually think of this as being an acceptable solution is because they're the country that isn't getting bombed, because they're the country that isn't the one who is getting fucking people on paragliders flying into a fucking festival so they can shoot a bunch of people and then rape a bunch of women. That is the only reason why.
when you eliminate someone, you kind of root them out from where they're coming from.
Also, you know what? Actually, don't do that. I'm in a similar position as Destiny, actually, on the fucking Trump shit or whatever, in regards to talking to conservatives, and it's like, hey, if you don't talk about this January 6th shit, you're completely dishonest and weird. I'm in a similar position in regards to Israel-Palestine. If you don't recognize that there has been Israeli people who have been raped inside of captivity, and if you don't recognize that there has been if you don't recognize that Hamas is using human shields, you are just a laughably dishonest person, and I'm going to treat you like that. I need to establish every single person in this conversation who is anti-American involvement or anti-Israel to establish that that Hamas has raped these hostages or some of the hostages, and has used human shields very uniformly. And then you're actually a worthy person to have a conversation with, because you're not like a hack at that point, in that manner at least.
And so the approach from the beginning of the war was a systematic approach from the north to the south. And now they've made it all the way down to the southernmost part of Gaza.
Oh yeah, for the means in which Hamas is defeated, having a metric is fundamental. And in fact, I would go further to say, Avocado Adorable, if you do not have a metric in mind for how you believe that Hamas or what the goalposts are for what Hamas would look like as defeated, and that is the objective of your war, you don't have a metric for it, I would say this could be used as evidence to show that there actually might be indiscriminate killings or indiscriminate attacks on the general public, because you did not prioritize a military target and objective, and that can obviously lead to excessive killing of civilians. So I would 100% use that as possible evidence to be able to show that they actually might want to do some civilian damage, they might want to kill some civilians, and maybe as evidence of a possible genocide. Because if you're just like, hey, we're gonna invade and we're just gonna like, you know, reclaim our former glory. And you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's like, no, don't worry about it. We're just going to do that. You know what I'm saying? We're just going to get rid of the enemy. And they don't really have an understanding of what it even means to get rid of the enemy. That's no good. That's a really bad sign, in my opinion. But I'll continue reading. Like, does it mean killing every single Hamas operative? Does it mean destroying their capability? Does it mean beheading its leadership? I mean, yeah, these are good questions. These are good questions.
We'll see fighting and resurgence happening in the north. Wow. So my point is that if we don't have an aim in this, then when is it going to stop?
Didn't we just get some hostages, like some civilians, like a couple of days ago?
And it resulted in apparently a report resulted in the death of 3 hostages.
I understand that, but you're asking me what is the aim, and we're trying to focus on the aim, but then you're saying, oh well, we can't have this aim because it led to this catastrophe. At what point in war will?
Well, I'm saying those
guys,
aims.
we've covered your disagreement. Let's pull in Sierra.
All right, thank you. You know, I appreciate everyone's contributions, and I'm really big on listening, because at the end of the day, you don't really know your position unless you've heard someone else's. That being said, someone just stated that there is an overarching problem, and I think there is a higher overarching problem. This is my opinion. Now, people may like this, they may not. All the way around here in this circle.
Damn,
For
bro,
me,
I got fucked.
Personally, I came and sat down because when it comes to what the question was, does President Biden support genocide? He is the seated president right now, and there is a genocide happening, and we are contributing to it. However, overall, right, and there's a lot you can argue about, you know, do I think it's integrous that we push people to Rafah and then attack and we don't stand to what we said on the line? Yeah, I have feelings about that. Do I think that, to John's point, there's a lot of tone deafness? Yes, I have feelings about that. Historically, however, our country has been involved in these type of things for a very long time. And I believe no matter who was in office, like I said earlier, be it a Democrat or a Republican, and most certainly Trump, I don't think we would see a different result. And that's when we as an American people have to ask ourselves why that is and how would we like to move forward. Because I'm about moving forward. And historically, we can go back and forth about the logistics of what's going on. They are our allies. But when we talk about a genocide, there are millions of people dying in the Congo, and I'm gonna continue to say that. But nobody's talking about it because the coal that they're dying for is going in our cell phones. So if we're gonna be so morally upset, Like, you can see that footage.
So you're saying
but
there's selective
historically,
outrage.
and if it's not people of a certain color, we don't care as much. So if you're gonna,
I'm not sure. Wait, hold on. Yeah, my bad. Crimson Steel. Hold on. I'm gonna change. Oh shit, I'm still in the category too. Yeah, I don't know. Shit. Okay, my bad. I just realized I ignored like an ungodly amount of messages to me, and I was just hoping that they weren't critical, and it looks like they weren't. Okay, great.
be outraged, let's be outraged all the way around, but let's also realize that whether it's the Congo, whether it's Gaza, this is our thing. This is what we do, and how do we want to not do that? And we need to talk about a solution as the people, because our tax dollars are funding all of it.
I think we understand there's a lot of disagreement about what's going on in Gaza right now. Who in the circle leading up to the 2024 election, is this your most important issue?
For me, in context of everything I expressed, yes.
Partially, yeah. So it's about a tie for me. So I'll say yes, but it's a tie.
And also, this is something that I feel like I was going to talk about in regards to Biden as a candidate. And I know he's the incumbent and everything, but a movement of the uncommitted movement kind of sparked up around predominant Arab American communities, where you had in a swing state like Michigan, which predicted the last two elections, whoever won Michigan won the last two elections, where 100,000 people wrote uncommitted over citing reasons of the Gaza war. So I think that as a whole, this is something that needs to be addressed and needs to be reflective of what his constituents believe. And so not necessarily going into force of action this way, force of action this way, but this is a hot topic issue for a lot of people and a lot of places that matter. When an election of 340 million people comes down to a couple 100,000 votes on swing states and getting that to win the electoral vote,
and again,
I think it matters.
But Biden won Michigan by 250,000 votes.
That's what I'm saying, is that, and across...
So 100,000 voting uncommitted, it's not gonna do it.
No, I mean, that's raw numbers, but these are people who are citing that they're voting uncommitted because of citing this, but 250,000 people across 6 different states pledged to vote uncommitted for it, along with areas in Chicago and all that. So that's kind of what I meant.
Are you willing to risk a conservative Supreme Court for 40 years?
For this issue, I feel like
For this issue?
For this issue, I feel like...
Really?
What? That is so... Why? What will that solve? Here's the issue. No matter who you vote for, they're going to support Israel. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. That would only maybe make sense if the conservatives wouldn't do the same thing, but probably worse. They're going to probably be harder on it, bro. Do you ever give a take on Destiny's assassination comments? I did a little bit on J-Stock's stream. I didn't in like totality. I still haven't watched the Pierce Morgan thing. I might do it later.
Conservative Supreme Court for 40 years, shutting down every single progressive legislation that passes, Medicare for all, any sort of Roe v. Wade, anything you guys want. Everything's going to get shut down.
This one, it's been shut down already, like she mentioned, for Roe v. Wade. But my point is that I feel like this is impossible for me not to care about this issue so much to this point, is that I'm from Palestinian origin. I have a Palestinian citizenship as well. So this is integral to me, because this is the issue that I care about the most when it comes to American politics. What can I do as a taxpayer, as someone who is educated in this land, who provides patient care in this land? What can I do in terms of knowing my heritage and then being a Democrat?
I think it's worth saying too, real quick, just because I heard it said earlier, like whether or not there is or isn't a genocide happening is still something that's hotly contested, even in the international community. I heard it said earlier that the ICC and the ICJ decided that it was. That's not true. These are still things that are being hotly contested, even within the ICC, even within the ICJ. We're not going to know the actual answer to that for some number of years. So if that's like your determining factor on this particular thing, I'd say if you're...
That's why I said that I didn't want to go into the terms, because I'm not an international rights lawyer.
We also have to...
But Guy, can you elaborate on what you're trying to say?
I'm saying if Trump wins, if we risk it and Trump wins, I guarantee Justice Thomas and Alito are going to retire, and Trump will replace them with 35-year-old justices that make Brett Kavanaugh look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So you will live under conservative rule, and the Supreme Court has the ultimate say in this land. So it doesn't matter what we...
Posing the answer to that question, I think for everyone else who raised their hand when they said, is this the most hot button topic, you'll get a more solid answer as opposed to someone who is extremely biased on this topic, who still has family members overseas. For people who I know personally who've been on the ground in Gaza, for NGOs and humanitarians. So I'd give you an answer that you don't want to hear. I'd give you an answer that I would be, because I would want this to end. Because I'm being honest about my bias.
Bro, it's not going to end if you abstain or you vote for a conservative. It's not going to end. Why is he acting like it'll end? Shit's so weird, bro. Okay, I'm fucked. Whatever.
To your
Okay,
point,
let's-
most important.
I appreciate your honesty.
What's up, Sog?
Yeah, that was good clarification. Our next prompt.
Oh my
Biden's
god.
health is poorer than Trump's.
I just fucked
Do you
myself.
agree or step forward?
Wait, can you not die from fire?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's pretty obvious that Joe Biden is an old man, and I think that's not necessarily an argument against him, but you just have to be real with the situation. I think kind of when we get so heated in a political discussion, we kind of want to avoid hard truths, and I think as an 81-year-old man, he does have health problems that become very apparent when he has to go through long stretches of time talking.
I was just going to say, I think there's something really noticeable about Biden when he starts to talk. That was exactly what I was going to say, because, you know, he'll start in sort of a place that makes sense, but it gets rambly and it gets distracted. And I feel like as a president, you have to have like the type of brain where like there aren't any bugs or deficiencies, or I guess not any, but like where you can see things coming as soon as they're going to happen, you know what I mean? Or like react to them before they happen with like intelligence received. And I'm not confident that like if you put footage of something happening in front of Biden, we're like, this is exactly what's happening. I'm not confident he'd be able to tell you play by play what exactly he just saw. I think I just think he's distractible, and I think he's senile, and they need to get this man in a rocking chair.
Yeah, I mean, I think Biden's definitely slowed down mentally. I think even physically compared to Trump, he's probably a bit slower. I don't think that's a difficult concession to make. Both of these guys are, I think, isn't Trump like 79? I think Biden is 81 or something.
Yeah, no matter who wins, they will be the oldest.
Yeah, both of them are still incredibly old. Yeah. Biden just needs to make it through the election, and then after that, I don't care, so.
I just think it'd be nice if we didn't have to deal with two presidents who are above the age of 75. It's like if you were in an escape room challenge, I don't think you'd pick either one of them to help you get out. But then, but when these are our two options to lead the country, it's tough. I feel like we need to get more faces into the program.
The issue here, though, is if we were in the escape room, all of the young people would be sitting in the corner watching the old people trying to solve the puzzle and then judging them for it. The issue is young people just don't vote. So.
Yeah, no, 100% is that whether you're uncommitted or committed, you can make your voice heard, and then we can get our party to start putting forth more viable candidates that we see.
I was just going to say, I think that's a big part of like the reason I'm here and the argument I want to make, which is just that like this is just not how this should be working. Like these two candidates should not be like our voting system should not be like the lesser of two evils. Like what old senile person do we want sitting in that chair?
Why is audio echoing? Is it? Is that on my end? Shouldn't be. It shouldn't be on my end.
More, you know what I mean? Like, I want a candidate I can rally behind. I want someone I can be confident in. I want someone I can like look to and be like, yeah, that's our president. I'm gonna go to people and talk about how much like, you know, I'm proud to be an American because like, although this is just one part of the whole machine, you know, it's the face of the machine, and I want to be proud of that face.
I will say that this is a saying that comes up a lot. I'm sure it's going to come up later, especially with some of the other prompts. You're always voting for the lesser of two evils in any democratic election because you're never going to have a candidate that perfectly represents you. That would be weird if it was the case. It's
Unless
a huge
you were
country.
running, yeah.
Right. Unless you're running.
Yeah.
No, even if you're running, because you might have to make concessions to different groups in order to get your particular policies passed. Yeah, I mean, like every voting system has its issues.
No, Trip, I don't think
have
so.
issues, huge multi-party systems have issues. When you're voting for a person, it should never be who do I 100% ideologically aligned with. It's who do I feel is going to best represent and carry forward the ideas that I think are important. So things like, for instance, Supreme Court justice picks. Not a person who I would want representing me in my particular Facebook or Twitter group that has every single belief that I have and is ready to go out and represent that to the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's bring in our disagreeers. And remember, the prompt is Biden's health is poorer than Trump's. So you're disagreeing.
Bit of a disagreement with the prompt itself because I think so very often, and I don't think this is an intentional thing, but so very often when we talk about
mental faculties and things like that, it does go towards an ableist direction. And again, it's not something that is intentional, but I think that people forget that when you talk about the elderly politicians and their rambling, there's
I'm fucked up.
There's things
so
like
bad.
that disabled people do, and here, especially those of us who have cognitive developmental disabilities.
But those people aren't trying to run for president, right? Like, that's the
Autistic
issue.
people, yes, we
Well,
do.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in this specific case.
I know that you're saying in this specific case, but the rhetoric is
Why are we acting like an autistic person is the same as a guy who's like, I mean, here's the thing. One thing I will agree with, I think there's too much rhetoric regarding like him obviously having dementia. Nobody, you don't fucking know that. He could literally just have some speech issues. It could be a part of his like stutter and shit like that. It could be an entirely separate thing that could have happened. Maybe he had some brain damage earlier that is causing an entirely separate issue. We don't know. We don't know what the fuck is going on. But an issue is we don't need to know what's going on to know that this is probably not something that we would prefer to have be our president if we had like total autonomy to choose. Unfortunately, we don't have total autonomy to choose.
Negatively.
It's
towards
ageism,
other
maybe?
people.
It is ageism.
And now, I'm not saying that I don't believe that a politician should be cognitively coherent. I 100% do believe in that. It's just some of the things that are said also apply in a negative context to other people and are a contributor to people stripping away the rights of disabled people.
For sure.
However, I also do think that Trump's mental faculties are exactly the same level. I do not think that either one.
Wait. Did she not just talk about how like people are like too quickly and readily judging these people for something they don't understand, only to say that like Trump's mental faculties are just as bad as Biden's? You don't know that either. What the fuck? Jesus, bro.
Is worse than the other, and physically, health speaking, both of them probably.
Same,
it's
avocado
more
adorable. I think it's just
not
a
my
speech
business, and it's
issue,
between
not
them and their doctor,
anything
but
more.
I do not trust that either of them are in good physical health currently.
I do not care about physical health at all. I would rather have Stephen Hawking like at the seat of the Oval Office. But when it comes to health, I think of more like mental health, and I think that Trump is more delusional in a sense. And as a person, I wouldn't want him a delusional person that only cares about himself running the entire country. And when I compare him to Biden, I don't see Biden as that delusional. Of course, I'm not going to trust him to solve any equation or Rubik's Cube. But is that the metric that we want? Like, should we put everyone in the next campaign in like an escape room and see who comes out first?
I think more the metric I was looking at was when I look at Biden as a career politician, I just hold him to his own standard of how I used to see videos of him. Like he was sharp. Yeah, he was
very quick.
That he used to ramble. Joe Biden is known even in his earlier days that he was a rambler. He would lean in too close and all of that. But I just find it that there's such a sharp difference and such a clear decline from when he was a politician coming up in the 80s, in the 70s, and then to now.
Listen,
so I just hold him to his standard.
I'd also say, wait, really quickly, sorry. I don't think it's like the most important thing. I think it should be a facet, though, of the conversation.
I agree, but I just think we were spoiled by someone like Obama, who came in and was an incredible speaker and was so articulate.
Doing stuff in the shadows.
But if you look back, it's like it didn't matter how big his mental faculty was. How much legislation did he actually pass? How much did he codify in law?
Is this woman in green mentally ill? She have a problem? I think they might be mentally ill. I can't like fully commit to that position, but it might be.
We do like Trump and do executive orders. I love Obama, and I wish that that Joe Biden could speak like Obama. But the difference is of what the person has done, despite the fact that some people are saying that his health is poor.
When we talk about poor health, if we're talking about it in terms of someone who's aging, and that's a natural result, and the reality is we can argue if somebody should be running for president, okay, he's the incumbent. That is the reality.
Yeah.
So the reality is he's running against someone who was a former president, who is a narcissist, you know, and so who also rambles, who has cognitive dissonance, and it's not from a necessary, well, whether he has a disability is, we can talk about that later. But the point is, so if we're just opposing them and we're comparing them, I would rather go with the guy where we know where that's coming from, who also we can look at his policies. If you're rambling and you have sociopathic behavior, and if you're talking about basically doing things in terms of a dictatorship, but then you're also the type of person that reverts and doesn't even stand in alignment with what he says when it comes to his own party, that is extremely problematic. And so I know where this is coming from with Biden. I don't know where this is coming from with Donald Trump. And let's also be clear with the fact that that man almost died of COVID after denying it forever. So
let's not get into COVID. That was a lie meant to depopulate us. Look up a general.
Well, regardless, the man.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Okay. So I got my answer. This person's insane. This person's batshit insane.
Still almost died.
It'd have to be a different episode.
The man still almost died. and I have yet to see Joe Biden in his age. I have yet to see him have that type of, with his cumbersome schedule and everything and all of the stress. I have yet to see that kind of thing happening.
I want to ask a follow-up just for the group. Was anybody disappointed when when it became clear that Biden was going to run as the incumbent?
I honestly thought he was going to be the best lesser of two evils initially until my grandmother died because of him. So yeah, I
was really disappointed when I found out that we were going to go with the incumbent advantage over picking someone who more aligns with the party and then is kind of just a running voice.
Yeah, I think it's more aligned with the party than Biden, right?
I think Biden is more aligned with, just being a Christian-backed Democrat. I think most of his morals and ideals come from his faith. And he's more center-left.
Wait,
I just think
what morals and ideas does he have from his faith? How did Biden kill her grandmother? She's talking about some COVID shit or something. She's actually insane.
We can't just ignore the fact that we really bank on the fact that he's the incumbent in this election, as opposed to is he really fit to.
He won the first time, right?
Yeah, he already beat this candidate.
I know, but that's more so on the results of the election than him.
If that makes sense, then who's
No, I think it
who's the
makes
one
sense,
that
like conceptually,
represents?
from the Dems' point of view. You know what I mean? Because he's the incumbent. First of all, he's a career politician. He's someone they've worked with for a very long time. So it makes sense, of course, that they're going to. Of course, it makes sense, right? And I get that it makes sense in terms of winning an election, but I guess I'm more here just to make an argument of sorts against the whole the way it works. You know what I mean? I just wish there could be. I wish everyone could just take like a dosage of reality and be like, this is not the guy who should be like holding the nuclear arsenal. You know what I mean? Let's get someone else.
Where do you come up with this? Because I saw his State of the Union speech and he knocked it out of the park to the point where people said this guy's on drugs. Yeah. I mean, people just see negative clips that rise to the top. And as far as his health goes, this man is riding a bike. I don't think Donald Trump has ridden a bike in 20 years.
And falling off the bike.
And he is in great shape.
But he got back up.
Look,
yeah, fair enough.
I gotta defend Biden here. I gotta defend him. I just want to say, Trump is out of shape. It's clear. How in the world could you say that Trump is in better shape than Biden? Is Biden a little slower? Is his gait a little slower? Of course, he's 478 years old, but he is killing it, man.
Y'all call to disagree with people. I didn't get my chance to disagree. I disagree.
Yeah, I wanted to pull you in there.
Biden and Trump are both, they're equally bad in different ways health-wise. And I'm not picking at nobody with mental disabilities or none of that crap. Of course, people get older, they age, but still, he's not there. You can see him talking, and he'll sit there and talk, and just all of a sudden, he'll take a whiff out of little kids. He's not there.
Oh, come on.
Trump is a freaking piece of shit, too. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see either one being a lesser evil, one of them being healthier. They both.
IRI is so great.
Okay.
Period.
Let's reset, move on to the next topic. Our last prompt. I think Biden has a chance to win the election. Will the agreeers please step forward?
I don't like him, I think.
A chance to win? Yeah. I think anybody who says no is kind of weird.
This makes me so happy, guys.
True. Were you hesitating?
I was. I was hesitating mostly because I still have doubts, but I like to be hopeful. I like to hope for the best because I like to think that there are enough people who are trying. And
oh wow, that's
my
actually
opinion
crazy.
is still subject to change, so maybe something will happen and I'll see some accountability from Biden and I will vote Biden. And I also hope that a lot of the people who are delusional on the other side and thinking that Trump is being guided by Jesus will suddenly wake up from whatever coma dream they're having and see reason. So I am hopeful, but I am still reasonably frightened.
I think the Democrats have a bad habit of being overconfident to a degree. Like, look at 2016, right? They were so sure about Hillary. They were so sure. When the truth is, most people in like middle America, most people when it comes to like, you know, blue collar, like very average people, couldn't stand her, couldn't stand the amount of scandals she'd been in. With that said, though, yeah, I do think so. I kind of picking back up what you were saying, I think I would like to hope that enough people would have good sense, you know, because I've got my reservations, I've got my issues, but the truth is, it's a tough battle, and we need every soldier we can get, as cringe as that sounds. So yeah, I'd like to hope so. I'd like to think, and I'd like to hope so.
I really want to ask you guys on what your opinions are on the likelihood. I know it's hard right now. We really don't know anything concrete right now, but what do you guys think the likelihood of the election is going to be?
I think there are good reasons to be optimistic. I know that the reporting is always like so negative on everything, but I mean, the thing is I don't really see how things get any better for Donald Trump from here. Like he is a convicted felon. I think he was literally last election saying that even if you're under investigation, you shouldn't be running for president. And now he's actually carrying a healthy amount of felonies underneath his belt. There's just so much stuff going on with him. He is such a sideshow. The speeches that he's giving, the things that he was saying about the son and or the daughter of the judge, when he followed Laura Loomer's stupid rumor on Twitter and thought that the girl with the Facebook account was, or that the girl with the Twitter account was actually the judge's daughter and was making claims about it. Like, I don't see things ever getting better from Trump as long as the economy doesn't completely nosedive, as long as something crazy doesn't happen. I think that Biden can only improve from here.
Do you think those things are diminishing support for Trump?
I think that the reason why it's hard to see it is because I think that these things are wildly increasing support for Donald Trump in increasingly smaller circles. I think that the people that love him the most will love him more and more no matter what you do to him, but I do think he's losing people on the outside who are a little bit over all of the antics.
Have you seen, and I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything, I'm genuinely asking, have you seen that personally? Because I personally have not, but that's, again, anecdotal evidence. I'm trying to find for some hope here.
We've seen polls that show 49% independents think he should drop out, 15% of Republicans think he should drop out after being convicted. But I think the Democrats have performed phenomenally since 2016. They've learned lessons from that election.
Oh, for certain.
We kicked ass in 2018, 2020. 2022 was a nightmare for the Republicans when it should have been a layup.
Yeah.
And so all the special elections are going our way. Roe v. Wade is really pushing people. People realize what's on the ballot. So I am really confident about Biden. That doesn't mean I'm going to lay back and not fight as hard, but I think we got this.
What scares me was how close it was in 2020, because it shouldn't be this
It's
close,
always close.
when one of the candidates is Donald Trump.
So let's do this since we're all Democrats. $1.9 trillion went to the American Rescue Plan after COVID. It's a very hard thing to come back from, right? And that provided more jobs and relief. It took our unemployment rate from the first quarter of 2021 from 6.3% to 3.6% by 2023. So that's huge. Also, there are extreme measures that have never been done before, and the type of verbiage that is used when gun control. That is a very big issue in this country. We cannot keep having people as a teacher. We cannot keep having teachers, and the solution is not to necessarily arm teachers. It's to focus on these children who are our future. And so more red flag laws that he's put into place, y'all need to know about. The fact that he has advocated for universal common sense background checks and the ban of assault weapons. That is very important. That is very important that he's the most forward-leaning president in the history ever on climate change. People need to know, allocating over $400 billion to the infrastructure plan. You know, these are very important things. The fact that our
Less than 17% of the 1.2 those laws provided for direct investment on climate change and infrastructure has been spent as of April, nearly 2 years. That is an important note because, yeah, his investment was made, but it's just they're having trouble figuring out where to spend it, which is kind of counter to what a lot of people's narratives would be, which is that, you know, government just is going to throw it away, going to waste it instantly or whatever shit. I mean, there's some red tape, but it's not just being thrown out. I think so, Lex.
GDP, which stands for gross domestic product. That means the output that our country puts. It's our investments, it's our exporting, the money that we spend. It raised under his administration by, I think, 2021 by 6.4%. These are very important things that we need to know. So while we have this platform, because a lot of folks don't know, I didn't know, you have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself. And this is an opportunity, as you mentioned earlier, for us not just to talk about what he's doing wrong, but to talk about what he's doing right as a reason to vote for him. And if you don't like what he is doing, as you saw, I didn't like a lot of what he was doing.
Oh my God.
Get in there
I
and do
just
something
lost
about
all
it
of my
as a
HP.
citizen. I do think there's a high chance that Donald Trump can win, but I think there's a higher chance that the people can really help turn this around if they get involved. And I personally believe not voting is not the solution.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Not to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to know, do you guys think that there's anything the Biden administration can do horribly wrong that would really cost the election?
Listen, I want to say this real quick because I want to agree with you. It's a team game.
Yeah.
We're giving it a percentage because of what we believe that we're going to vote for him. And you mentioned the America Rescue Plan, the child tax credit came along with that, as well as the earned income tax credit, but we don't mention that here. Like, it took us until the end of the panel to mention that. And so we are so sure that he's going to win because we know these things that he has done that we can educate people on. And it's our job right now to do that. So do I believe there's anything so catastrophic that he could do that would ruin it? No, as long as we stay to what he has done.
I think it says something that when you look at the major criticisms of Biden, it's not on his policy. It's not on how he's handled particular affairs from the conservative side. It's always things like he's old or he's bumbling or he's senile or he's something like that. That is the only platform by which they're going to attack him. You got to consider, man, Biden has overseen an insane presidency. It was coming back from COVID and all the disasters relating to that. It's Russia invading Ukraine. It's Israel and Palestine and the complexities of that conflict. There's so much stuff going on in the world and domestically in the United States. It's the crazy issue at the border that Donald Trump messaged to the Republicans and said, whatever you do, don't fix this issue because I need it to remain open and hurting America to help me in the election. I think that Biden has overseen so much in this particular time period, but he's managed to...
Wait, did he say there's text?
In the United States. It's the crazy issue at the border that Donald Trump messaged to the Republicans and said, whatever you do, don't fix this issue because I need it to remain open and hurting America to help me in the election.
I need to see those
Biden has
messages.
overseen so much in this particular time period, but he's managed to pass historic legislation that he's done with a 50-vote Senate, and I think that he's risen to meet the challenges, and I'm going to be honest, in a way better than I thought that he would. I just hope that he kept the boat afloat. I didn't expect a $400 billion investment in green energy. I didn't expect, for him to answer the call on all these things.
We've got just a few more minutes, so this is a follow-up to this section. Who here, with a raise of hands, is currently planning on voting for Biden in the election?
What fucking losers. All of the anti-Biden are no.
So if you're not voting for Biden, are you planning on voting independent?
Jill Stein, Green Party. Even though I identify as a Democrat, right now, which I'm not saying she'll win. I actually think Biden has a better chance of winning because Trump shoots himself in the foot with his mouth.
You think Biden has a better chance of winning than Jill Stein? You don't say. Wow, that bleeding edge political analysis is what I need to hear on my timeline. Wow. That's a bold claim. You want to put money down on that? That's crazy.
Biden, I will say, he has a more gentle approach. He's not picking at people, like he just acts like he doesn't know what's going on. But Trump has a more, how do I say this, overzealous personality, like he's too overly confident. Biden, he might not be the best person to me in the world, but he has a gentle approach. You know what I mean? And I feel like some people that were once supporting Trump see that he's an arrogant, seeing that he's stolen money from veteran charities, he's done all these different things, and he's supporting what's going on in Israel. So I think some of the Republicans that are Christian, but I'm not getting the faith part, will probably go towards Biden's more so now.
I want to hear from the other people who aren't voting for Biden.
Yeah, I'm undecided. I could see myself swinging Biden. I think, Stephen, you, especially just a second ago, raised a lot of excellent points. But my fear is that the average person, like the average working class American, isn't like doing that kind of homework and doesn't have that level of awareness. You know what I mean? So that's where I get fearful. That's where I'm kind of uncertain. But yeah, I could see myself swinging for Biden. Obviously, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I'll tell you that much.
I think John and Rebecca raised excellent points. I think that to answer, somebody posed, I think it was you, posed that question to us, do we think that there is one issue that could stop people from voting for Biden? And I absolutely do believe that it is Gaza. And I also think that the average person probably doesn't know, and that's why I will reiterate, we got to do our research. Speaking of being fact appropriate, I want to say again, for climate, it's 400 billion, not million.
I think I'm going to go uncommitted, And like I mentioned before, this is like she
Uncommitted?
mentioned, the single most important issue to me.
If this is the single most important, you must have like a solution, right? Or an idea in your head.
Yeah, I do. I think that an immediate ceasefire
Well, who are you propping up that you think will do that?
I think that an immediate ceasefire can happen. I just think that through Biden's administration, I think it can happen. And so that's the type of rhetoric from him and action that I would need to vote for.
But you know Biden called for a permanent ceasefire 2 weeks ago, right?
And that's what I'm saying is that it was an Israeli proposed ceasefire that he announced.
It's a permanent ceasefire.
A permanent ceasefire, and then I heard the Israeli member for the UN say that we're not
the state of Israel.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that that's the inconsistency in the Trump administration.
We can't control Israel, though.
Biden himself said. We also have senators voting to send weapons over there and move across the aisle.
And that's why locally, and that is
we're in office, and we need to get out of this two-party system, and then we won't have these types of issues.
And I ask, what could Biden do to win you over?
I think that he can halt military funding to Israel in the time that a ceasefire would need
to
take place.
But half that military funding is defensive weapons, like the Iron Dome. Would you want to see that halted as well?
I would want to see offensive.
Iron Dome.
I would want to see weapons used in Gaza now to be halted.
So you still would support about $6 billion then being sent to Israel from America?
I would halt all of it because we need to hold
weapons.
We need to hold the recipients of our aid accountable, just like Egypt.
So you would hold defensive weapons from Israel.
And I would hold money from Egypt in the same way for closing the border on humanitarian aid on their side. I would hold them accountable for the aid that we give them.
At the end of the day, the way that this humanitarian crisis is being treated and the lives that are being lost is unconscionable. And to me, it's unfathomable to sit here and argue about that point in particular. Now, the nuance of the policy behind it, okay, and why that is, but if we can't agree that that is horrific what we are seeing, and I double down and bring back the Congo like it is, and everyone's like, oh, it's just war. So we need to understand moving forward, how do we want to move forward when it comes to these type of things, and who do we want to be?
I support the guy who called for permanent ceasefire.
We're at like the last minute, so just anyone who speaks, like, it should be final thoughts leading into the election.
Okay, I will just start just to get me out of the way. I am going Biden all the way. And I just want to say that if we're going to have problems with Biden, I want substantial disagreements and I want an alternative. I don't want, like Destiny said, Biden but. Because whenever we talk about but, the only person that's been brought up is Jill Stein, and I don't hear any other thing. We can ask him, and you brought up, we can ask for things, but, you know, he's the incumbent president. We can ask him for things, but he's not going through a campaign.
And not to like go argue your point and cut you off from saying your final thoughts, but my point is that is it not the idea of being uncommitted to challenge the incumbent president that the support is lost at this point for what's happening over this issue, and so win back the support. And I'm not saying me in particular, but I'm saying, like, isn't that what politics is about? Is that being reflective to your constituents? And so that's what I'm saying, is that this is my issue, and so I'm not in the matter of being closed off, but it's in the matter of moving in the right direction, like a permanent ceasefire, and then seeing that result.
But I think that's a fair way to approach. Like, withholding your vote can be a form of utilizing your vote. I think that's fair to say. Just always be aware of what you're doing. If somebody says, I don't want to vote for him because I can't support that period, and you have that principled position, that is a defensible, I would disagree with it, that's a defensible principled position. But just remember that if your abstained votes lead to somebody like Donald Trump coming in, it's going to be worse under Trump than it is under Biden.
Well, it's unfortunate, but that is an indirect result, because the reality is he said he might have even done
And so that's kind of my idea of being uncommitted, is that there's a side that I want to be on.
And I made it very clear. I'm more in alignment with how you guys feel, but I'm also a realist as far as like what we're dealing with here.
This
And
guy
I will
listened
never
to his
again.
song.
And many of the things that you said, I absolutely agree with. And again, for my closing, I'd just like to say I will be voting for Joe Biden. However, I do think there needs to be some accountability for what is going on, the tone deafness of all the lives that have been lost. But let's also be clear. This is going on all around the world, and we have supported that too, and we cannot pick and choose, especially when it's people that look like me are darker and no one's talking about it, and it's even more lives being lost. This is not the oppression Olympics. No lives should be lost like this. It's horrific that us as humans do this to each other. It emphasizes war and its policy, but we need to start being the country that pays for different policies. But the reality is that's not going to happen under a conservative court, and that is why I'm voting for Joe Biden. We have a two-party system. We need to get more involved with who our local officials are and who our senators are, because let's be honest, Joe Biden is not supporting anything, no matter what it is, by himself. There is branches of government that he has to go through, and that is what we as a people forget. We cannot forget it in these elections. We may not have another one.
Guy, you have some words, I can tell.
Look, I can appreciate everybody's passion here. It seems like your heart's in the right place, and I'm not upset at anybody.
Yeah.
In the end, we're all Democrats. Our party
I
is
love everybody's perspective.
Yeah, our party's a big umbrella. We allow all sorts of voices, but what I worry about is what I'm hearing from a lot of you guys who are anti-Biden is we're gonna hope other people vote. And I worry too many people do that, and we gotta get serious about this, and we all have to take personal responsibility and carry him over the finish line. I understand, Mohammed, what you're saying. You're withholding your vote or expressing yourself to get your way. That's what the primary's for. This is the end game. This is the last 10 yards, and I'm confident as the summer starts to wind down, more Americans are gonna tune in. They're gonna start to realize.
I feel like that needs to be stressed more, that the primary is what's used for, like, because what he's talking about, I'm not voting. It's like, okay, yeah, to vote in the primary for somebody that you think is going to not cause that big issue, you know? Vote for somebody in the primary who's gonna, like, be pro-Gaza or whatever. But then after the primary, it is literally Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And it's either or. It's no, and both of them are going to support Israel. One of them is probably going to be more heavy-handed in it. It's probably going to be Donald Trump. He's probably going to have less regard for that. Hold on. A mighty rock out of thin air? I don't know what that means. All right.
Remember who Trump was, and I think people are going to get behind Biden.
Anyone else?
Oh, real quick.
I'm just, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry, very, very quickly. I was just gonna say, to sort of restate my thesis that I was hoping to come here with, it's not that I'm pro-Trump, it's just that I'm anti-Biden, and to be honest, agreeing with you, just anti the way this system works. If I can just say one thing really quickly, the reason my trust in Biden has deteriorated to the degree it has is he was under investigation for the potential mishandling of some documents, classified documents. The investigation concluded that he couldn't be held accountable because he was too mentally unfit. He couldn't remember conclusively when the years he was vice president, he couldn't remember conclusively the year his son Beau had died. Now, I'm not saying Trump is the right choice or even a better choice, but I'm just saying, I am
actually didn't know that.
everyone,
Is
when
that
they
true?
go into those booths, should be as informed about both candidates, good and bad, as possible.
And I'm just so sick of this idea that, like, oh, you know, you're hoping that other people will vote. Because the thing is like, at the end of the day, our votes matter, yes, especially in local elections. But with the current way that the system is run, with the way that our elected officials who are in charge of placing our votes, our voices are very often not heard at all. So I am concerned that it is being placed, so much blame is being placed on everyday people who are hoping that other people vote. It's not that we're hoping that other people vote, we're just kind of like tired.
So why withdraw your seat?
Wait, what do you mean you're not hoping other people vote? What do you mean you're not hoping? So wait, if you're not hoping other people vote, then you're just like okay with Trump. You think Trump is good. Because if you don't think Trump is good and you hope actually Trump doesn't win the election, then you are hoping that other Democrats vote and are successful in making sure Trump doesn't enter the office. Because if you're saying is you don't really care, you don't hope that Democrats vote, then what you're saying is you're cool with Donald Trump. You're just like, you don't really care. It is what it is. No preference. Anti-Trump votes are necessary? Yeah, they're beyond necessary. Is she not saying she hopes Trump voters won't vote? I mean, literally, yeah. She's either saying she hopes Trump voters won't vote or that Democrats will vote. But she's trying to act like she doesn't. Or I guess she's, yeah, literally trying to say there is no difference, which is also insane. I don't know. Weird behavior. Weird behavior. Weird behavior. We don't like that kind of behavior.
Well, and nobody will listen.
I'm not withdrawing my seat from the table. I'm voting locally.
I think if we had came to this discussion, that would be withdrawing our seat from the table.
My Discord, not yours.
Hearing everything that you guys have discussed, coming with an open mind, and then also saying our ideas, allowing between Democrats the discourse that we've had, because this is what's gonna either push you to be like, I need to reevaluate my position and move forward and vote honestly. And so that's why if you removed yourself and like, there's no way this is what's happening. I'm not because of this. You have to be open to
And
hearing.
again, I'm voting locally. I am not. That is where I have actual power, is in my local.
You have actual power in the national vote too. You just don't want to use it because you're selfish.
Systems, but I don't have as much power to vote for a president as much as the elected official who gets to say whether or not they want to.
Well, I just want to say that a vote for non-vote for Biden is voting indirectly, respectfully, and you have that right. And I hear it's totally what you're saying. Is a vote for Trump. That's just what it is, and that is a person who's trying to take the rights of you to be able to vote for your local officials, and he's done that in Georgia. And so
this chick is based.
This is the nuance why we have to.
This chick is based. On that, at least, pretty based.
The way each of you feel is totally valid. I think you all have stellar, amazing points, and it's very imperative that you're here because you represent large demographics of people that feel the way you feel, and those issues need to be addressed. We may not have that opportunity if we do not vote, because that is a vote for Trump.
All right, we're gonna have to end it there. Thank you all for being a part of this. Joe, you're even split, so you have to figure out something to get their votes. Thanks, guys. Let's wrap it up.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. I really love it.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
I love these types of conversations. That's what we come.
I know. I love politics. I love the talk.
Yeah. No. I'm with it.
Okay. Yeah, I just killed myself. Cool. Whatever. Fucking actual stupid. I was on a perfect run.